All right, it is that time once again. Time to talk a little NBA right before the All-Star break, and we are ready to get you set for everything you need to know tonight, whether it's DFS, which will be coming up as it always is after this, or what we're here to do, which is talk a little betting, talk a little hoops action. I am Ben Rasa, and I am joined, just like yesterday, by Matt Savoca. Matt, yesterday we had to do 11 games in 30 minutes. They said, okay, no more of that. We've got a nice 5-game slate to end heading into All-Star break. I'm sure, like me, you're feeling a lot better about talking about 5 games than 11.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be able to breathe today.
Yeah, breathe.
That's really exciting. And it is. It's obviously the last slate before the All-Star break. So we get a little bit of an NBA betting break, but I'm really excited to break down this 5-game slate. Saw some Awesemo subscribers had a ton of success in DFS and in betting on Twitter this morning. So that was really exciting to wake up to. And excited to talk these 5 games. Not the most exciting 5-game slate. And there's always that possibility of the variability in playing time because of that big break coming up this weekend.
Certainly, just like yesterday, there's going to be Q tags to monitor, some late breaking news that we'll react to. But again, we've got you covered here, and we're going to start the show as we did yesterday by telling you really the reason that we're here, and it's because of OddsShopper. That is the tool that we have used to power this show. If you have not been over there, OddsShopper.com, no sign up required. You can go there, and that's what we're going to use to identify these bets, shop the line so we get the best number, and give some insight. You did this yesterday, talking about some of these players of why maybe they're a better bet versus DFS play, or vice versa. A guy that you say, you know what, I might get over the field here in the DFS side, but I'm not looking at him in the prop world per se. So we have a lot of options here. If you haven't been over there, I'd really encourage people to check it out. It saves you a ton of time. And if you trust Alex and the team as much as we do, and I'm sure most of you watching the show do, they have taken those tools and turned them into betting tools. A really good opportunity to get in at the ground floor. But let's start with the first game on the slate here. We've got Miami, 5-point favorite against Charlotte, 226.5 total. Like you said, not the most star-studded games you've ever seen. There's a couple of props in this game that I like, but I will pass it to you first. Where are you going to get things started?
How about Charlotte money line plus 175? I know, a little scary. Jimmy Butler's on track to play tonight. Miami has been decent on the road, as you would expect this season. They're 4 games over 500 on the road. Charlotte kind of meh, 14-13 at home. That's kind of indicative of their whole season, right? They haven't really put it all together consistently yet in Charlotte. But according to the Awesemo sports betting model, Charlotte actually pulls off the upset roughly 43% of the time. That doesn't sound all that good, but plus 75, that's implying Charlotte only wins this game about a third of the time. There's that value right there. So it's actually one of the highest for a money line bet. Is the best money line bet in terms of expected win percentage versus implied win percentage. The only one that is different than 1% versus the Vegas odds. Newsflash, everyone, Vegas is actually pretty good at this. So if that's a little rich for your blood, I get it. You can also bet the spread, which is at +5. I'm seeing it in some places. So we're getting that hitting 56% of the time. But I'm going to take a stab here, a 3-star out of 5 bet on the money line here for Charlotte.
Hey, I don't mind that. You hit a similar line yesterday with Denver. It was different circumstances, but the same kind of concept. And this looks like it could tick to 4.5 looking at OddsShopper. See some +5s, but they're at -114. That kind of indicates it's starting to juice a little bit. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. In the prop world, the one that OddsShopper really drew my attention to was Bam, under 11.5 boards. We have him projected to right around 10 boards on the nose. You're getting +108 there. So in addition, we have him coming under that projection, and you're getting plus money. When you see that combination, it's usually a pretty powerful tool. A lot of times when we project a guy under, you're paying -130, -125, and that's where you have to factor that in. Here we're saying, even if this was 50-50, we would still want to take this because of the +108. So I'm going to put that as a 3-star, and then I'll throw one more out, and I'll give the assist to Loughy once again. He messaged me when it looked like Jimmy Butler is going to play. Over 22.5 points is one that I can get on board with. Obviously, right before the All-Star break, I have to assume that if they're going to put him in there, there would be no reason to curtail the minutes. I expect him in the mid to upper 30s as he usually is. If he gets that in a game that you're saying could be very competitive, I wouldn't be stunned to see Jimmy Butler once again have a very effective game, particularly with the point total.
Yeah, I like that narrative a lot, actually, because I woke up, I kind of thought he wasn't going to play, but then all the news has been kind of positive since then. That's right. He's going to be in, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, then I think that that's exactly right. Why limit him if you are going to play him here? I had it in my notes. Bam was my second best bet. So I'm glad you hit on it.
All right, there we go. So one down again. We can circle back, chat, if you guys have any questions. I know you had Gary Trent last night. Many threes. That's the nature of Gary Trent. And those Blazers, man, that was one of the bright spots. I was very glad I took the points there because the Celtics, they did not show up. What a terrible loss to break their win streak. But we get Washington and Brooklyn in the second game here. Washington is a 4.5 point underdog, 215 total. It's not the highest pace game, but talk to me about this matchup. Teams on back-to-backs. What do you see here?
Yeah, both teams in back-to-backs, but what about we start simple? Over 215. We had a low-scoring game for Brooklyn last night at Madison Square Garden. Washington has a bunch of people in the front court questionable for this game. They got Bryant and Rui questionable. For the Nets, it's an easy jump back over to Brooklyn after being at the Garden. The Wizards, less so, coming over from Indianapolis. The Awesemo sports betting model has this game pegged for what they expected to be a 220.5 point game. So just like looking at the clear projection versus that total here, it kind of looks like a decent bet. Washington, they're not good. 21st in defensive rating over the last 10 games, 25th in net rating. That game last night against Indiana was actually much less competitive than that final score implies. Neither team at full strength. Hey, you called it with Patty Mills actually yesterday, and we got a lot of Patty Mills bets, but I think I'm going to go with the over here, 3.5 out of 5 stars.
I can get on board with that. And yeah, Patty Mills, it's an interesting situation. I was looking to short him yesterday and it was successful. But when I look back, he played 38 minutes. He was 2 for 12 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. So there are some indications that volume is going to get him there more often than not. If you want to kind of, I'm not even going to call it buy low, but looking at OddsShopper, I'll take it to the prop world. Patty Mills's props, we have projected for overs tonight. And the one I want to go to is the 2.5 3-pointers. We haven't projected to make 4. And again, it's a volume thing. He hasn't been shooting well at all, but his last 3 games, 3 for 9, 2 for 7, and 2 for 9. If you're going to tell me he's coming in, taking 7, 8, or 9 threes again, we're asking him to shoot 33% or whatnot. I think that's a situation, even with some of the struggles, and there's new personnel. We've talked about Curry and the effect that may have on him. I think I'm going to try to zig. I have had good success so far. I'm going to go to the over with Patty Mills tonight. I think we can coexist, though. There's still a lot of points in this game. We get over. Hopefully Mills makes some. Kind of a same game parlay developing. What do you think there, maybe pairing them up?
I like it. I was actually surprised to see how bullish we are on Patty Mills. I just see that backcourt as in flux, right? With the way that Curry has been playing. And, Patty Mills was a player who's obviously still getting a ton of minutes, but I don't know how the usage ultimately shakes out here. Our projections, super, super bullish on Mills, at least tonight. The assists over 2.5, if you can get it. We have him projected for about 4. That's one of the highest ROI assist bets we have on the board as well for Mills.
And I think you can look to this game. It doesn't have to be here, but we just got a super chat saying doing a few 3-leg parlays, same game. What do you guys like? Love the show, and we really do appreciate that. I think you kind of want to hit in what we're talking about, where it's like, okay, I like the game to go over, and here's one player that I think could play a part in that, say Patty Mills. If there's another, maybe over within this that you look to, now you've got that. So we'll keep that in mind there. I think, though, when I look at same game parlays, I try to include a side or a total to give me the macro look. So like maybe with Charlotte, you talked about, is that the same philosophy that you normally take?
100%. It's almost like a correlation in DFS.
Yeah, showdown.
Perfect. Exactly. So we want to tell a story with our betting card the same way. Obviously, uncorrelated bets can hit. It's a 1-game sample, but usually, especially if I'm doing 3 legs, I'll do a macro and then one overachiever, and then one kind of chalky bet is usually how it's done for me.
Yeah, well said. I think telling that story, trying to find a couple guys and then a side or a total, that's really all you need sometimes. That can get you there and get a little payout. And certainly if you are looking for same game parlay videos and quick betting videos, I will give a quick shout out to where I spend a lot of my time, and Matt as well hops on over on our OddsShopper YouTube channel. That is why we're doing the show. We want to give you guys a taste of what we have going on over there each and every day. So if you are looking for some 3-leg parlays, things like that, simple migration over, get some bets in as well, because it's a good time and make a little money along the way. But all right, 2 down, 3 to go. Plenty of time. We got the Dallas Mavericks, 2.5-point favorite going into the Pelicans, 215.5 total. So another game, very, very competitive. I have something to say about CJ McCollum, but I want to ask you first, are you looking at a side or are you looking at a total?
I could get down with the spread here. Dallas minus 2.5. Is that what we're seeing here? I could get down with it, but I actually have a player prop that I'm scared about, and it's going to highlight the difference between betting and DFS that we kind of talked about in the open here, and we certainly talked about yesterday, Ben. Luka under 9.5 assists.
Ooh, it's dangerous game.
I know. We haven't projected for under 8.5, and we don't usually see that big of a differential in our prop projections with star players. So we talked about this yesterday, and it's absolutely worth bringing up again. Luka is certainly a fine play in DFS tonight. We have him in the optimal lineup over at DK something like a quarter of the time. I don't have it right in front of me, but he has a massive expected ownership that's worth it. Absolutely. If you're playing DFS tonight, but he's got a 43% chance of hitting 5X over there. But on this line, he's got a really high probability of falling under here. It's a different game when you care about how he contributes to the game. New Orleans has been okay over the last 10 games. They're 5-5, above league average in defensive rating and net rating during that span. Likely a pace down spot outside the top 25. Both teams are in pace during that same span. And it's the lowest projected total of the night for the Awesemo sports betting model. I'm going to say 3.5 out of stars, and it's only not 4 because of, I just don't want to be, look like a fool because Luka had like 14 assists.
I mean, certainly with props, when you short world-class players, sometimes that's just inevitable that they're going to have one of those games. But again, you're talking about a bet where you're betting a little juice here, but more often than not, you're talking about how often am I going to clear this? And it doesn't matter if Luka has 10 assists or 18 assists, you're going to lose the bet. And when you're projecting it, certainly on the DFS side, every extra assist matters. So I totally get where you're coming from. And on a 5-game slate, I'll let the fellas after this really break down why I'm sure they're going to be advocating to have Luka exposure tonight. But in the prop market, I totally get where you're coming from. I'm going to talk about CJ McCollum. So we've seen him a little bit now for the Pelicans, and the volume continues to be there from 3-point range. And I think, again, that's just like Patty Mills. That's what's most important for me. He was 0 for 5 in the last game, but he's taking a lot. That was the fewest 3-pointers he's taken in a long while. And I expect that to continue. It looks like, 7, 8, 9 is kind of where I'm targeting the attempts tonight. So even though Dallas has a pretty good 3-point defense, I just look at a very competitive game. They're at home. And again, it's all about the lines with this. Plus 108, plus money here on a projection that we have him making 3.2 3-pointers. So not only am I getting plus money, but we have him clearing this prop. So that is what I'm going to put on. I'm going to give that 3 stars. Similar to Patty Mills, these 3-pointer props, I'm going to buy on some of the shooters that maybe you're looking for positive regression.
Devontae Graham too. We got the over on his 3-pointers in this same game. It's sort of the same. We have him hitting the over. That one, the odds are better, or worse, minus 162. But still, the expected win percentage is still much higher than the implied probability there for Graham.
And again, I'll keep hitting this because we had that question. Another, if you want to say I'm rooting for overs tonight, same game parlays. If you think the game gets going, if you think there's a lot of 3-point attempts, as long as the guys aren't cannibalizing each other a ton, I think you can work in some of that. You don't want 3 or 4 3-pointer props from the same team, obviously, because every 3 that one guy takes is the 3 that no one else can take. But I still think you can look to it in some capacity. All right. My favorite game of the night, I think most people's favorite game, has got to be this game. We've got the Sixers, 6.5-point dogs going into Milwaukee, 223.5-point total. The Sixers, man, we've talked about this. They were a straight no-show against Boston. Chance to kind of get right before the break. You're getting 6.5. I do lean. I haven't talked a lot about sides. I would take the points here. I think that's a healthy margin Certainly you've got Embiid. I think Maxey can play a big role in this game tonight, but what do you see and what could be a preview of the playoffs?
That is literally the first bullet point in my notes, Ben. This is the matchup we kind of all want to see this spring at this point, especially with two healthy teams down the stretch. I don't know if this matchup is a game where they actually want to show a lot of their cards. Not that they're not going to show up for this game at all, but I don't know. I'm kind of talking out of two sides of my mouth because we're talking about Jimmy Butler. If he's in, he's going to play plenty, but I kind of feel the opposite narrative might be true here. Maybe both teams take it a little bit easy with their studs heading into the All-Star break. Maybe you hit a few of these, the unders on the lofty props for these star players in this game. I think Giannis under 30.5 points is in play here. We've got him projected for 27.5. He stays under 31 in 64% of our simulations, and the minus 105 odds imply sort of a coin flip for him. So that's value right there. But for me, I think I'm going to go with under 12.5 rebounds for Joel Embiid. Our projection for tonight is about 11 for him, 11 on the dot, actually. We have him projected for 10% less playing time than his average minutes per game over the last 10. So that's really what it is right there. Bucks during the past 10 games, second in the league in rebounding percentage, and they're particularly strong on offense too, which is somewhere where Embiid obviously cleans up. So I don't know if Embiid, if he's going to have less playing time, a little bit less success on the board, you don't need to go to such a high prop. It's actually the second highest ROI rebounding bet we had on the board right now, the under for 12.5.
I think you bring up a good point. And we just had this friend of the show, Alejandro, was saying, any thoughts on guys sitting into the All-Star break? It's tough to quantify from my vantage point. I do think, maybe there's some teams that if it gets a little out of hand, there's a quick hook, but I'm kind of taking it at face value. I'm like everyone. I hope the news breaks certainly before tip, but guess what I'm asking is, do you do anything different tonight than you would on another given night? Or do you just say, it's unquantifiable and I can't really do much with it?
I honestly think this is a situation where you can put your thumb on the model a little bit. That's always a scary thing, right? And it is like what we would call like an advanced technique. We don't technically want to do that. We're just going to trust the math in most situations. But I do think that there are some, especially with these teams on back-to-backs, a huge break coming up, one little tweak that they would typically play through because they just got to make it through the NBA season. Teams might just say like, hey, we're going to take it easy this second half. Just extending the range of outcomes is really how I might put it.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is, and that's where the lines are so important in terms of range of outcomes and upside. Like if you're taking and you're building parlays, you're incurring a lot more risk for a lot more reward. If you're betting individual props, you're looking to kind of grind. You're betting 1.2 to win 1 or 1 to win 1.1, something of that nature. We just got another super chat from Andrew Kang. What's up, man? How have I been? I'm good. Just grinding a lot of different sports, college basketball mostly. Great philosophy. Oh, it's good. See, just a testimonial. These are the best kind of super chats. You've been crushing 12 legs, under player averages, great philosophy. We love to hear it, man. There's definitely strategies that you can pick up on with these projections and with these philosophies that if you get teams and the rotations, just like with DFS, you can find some success. So I love to hear that.
Hey, can I add one thing to that? First of all, thank you, Andrew, for the super chat as well. But yeah, I think that's actually one of the biggest edges left, especially in the NBA, because changes in team philosophies are much more malleable than say a sport like the NFL, where one injury kind of changes the way a team has to go about trying to win in the NBA much more often. So if you have an edge or something like that, I got a buddy who is a huge Blazers fan. And so when there's an injury on the Blazers, he's usually the first person I reach out to. And, how is this changing the minutes? How is Nurkic going to be affected by this? Because that is a really big edge that the math can't always uncover right before lock here.
Well said. And yeah, Chad is having the discussion that we're having on the show right now, where you kind of said this too. We're kind of straddling the line because if they're out there, I do still think that they're good enough. It's not like, if guys nicked up or he's 50-50, I think you would sit him. I said this about Ja, then he had like 70 points last night. So maybe that's not true in all the cases, but I do believe that, but there's just little edges. And that's what I think you summed up kind of when you were talking about that maybe in certain these circumstances, they err on the side of caution. Yes, I'm also grinding A little lacrosse. Never hurt anyone, particularly on Saturdays. For this game, though, I'm going to take the points. I just think this is a competitive game, one that they will be up for in the Sixers. I looked at Maxey. I wanted to get some exposure, but again, this is what you have to do in betting. I just couldn't find anything I liked. I thought the props were pretty spot on with him. We're kind of shorting his 3-pointers made. Okay, I didn't do, it would be like a 1-star play if I put it on my card. I just couldn't find anything in the prop world. I do want to ask you, is there anything else you want to get to in this game before we get to our final one?
If you've got Matisse Thybulle at over 1.5 steals, that's looking like one of our better steals ROI bets. Our expected win rate there is about 63%. The implied probability is about 53%. We don't usually see that much of a difference in value, so it's not exciting. I know some books don't even have steals available in same game parlays, but it is something from this game that stuck out here.
Yeah, the steals and blocks. We talked about that yesterday a little bit. Not the most glamorous prop, but if your book offers them, even though a lot of them are like 0.5, it's incredible where those edges can be had with some of these, because it's very, not to go down a rabbit hole because we only got a couple minutes. The jump from 0.5 to 1.5, they can't really straddle those lines, and you can find major efficiencies. Again, another super chat from Andrew. Just again, really appreciate it. Never take the Clippers, Magic, or Rockets. That's word to live by, even though it's a perfect segue into our final game here. The Houston Rockets, who I probably said terrible things about yesterday, props to them. They really hung in against Phoenix. They made that a very competitive game, and their reward is a back-to-back. Now they're 11-point dogs against the Clippers, 229.5. Floor is yours. The Rockets are missing some guys. Eric Gordon, Kevin Porter Jr. is doubtful. Wood is in. Where are they at? Can they make it a game tonight?
I would have said no yesterday, but they did. Honestly, this happens sometimes. I'm just not seeing a huge amount of edges here. One thing I'm noticing in the tools, though, I will say we're all about the Nick Batum overs in this spot. Over 0. Again, these are like little blocks and steals edges. Over 0.5 blocks hits 2/3 of the time. That's a top 5 bet in the blocks category. We've got them projected for about 1.5 steals, making over 0.5 steals, even at minus 189, a pretty solid ROI bet. Expected spread in this game is actually minus 114, according to the Awesemo sports betting model. So you could theoretically take a chance on Houston losing big. I think that would go with Andrew's narrative there, right? Our model also liked the Suns to win last night, though. So, it's math. It's showing range of outcomes, as we said. I guess Reggie Jackson is a player who's going to be really popular. I just don't see a lot of props that really strike me. So if I'm picking one, I'll go Batum over 0.5 steals. It's like a 3 out of 5 bet for me.
No doubt. And yeah, you can't be deterred. It doesn't mean that you absolutely should be looking at your results and analyzing, but a team playing good or not covering in one game is limited to meaningless unless there's really something you're extracting. So the books also, like if the Rockets would have lost by 40 last night, they would be like plus 14 here. So it also accounts that they played well. So you might be incurring a little extra edge. In that regard, Reggie Jackson, definitely going to be popular, as you mentioned. From a betting standpoint, it's a little tricky. I mean, he took 26 shots against Phoenix, and he was 0 of 8 from the 3-point line. That's something that I've actually been betting. I kind of want to stick with it. I know it feels a little uncomfortable. Can I convince you to go over 2.5 threes at plus money? It's that same formula as Patty Mills, that same formula as CJ McCollum. Again, we're getting plus money on these shooters who all were ice cold in their last game.
There's probably an edge there, right? Plus, what am I seeing? Plus 108. That it implies odds of about 48%. And we got him hitting 2.53, 65%. That's an edge. That's the edge right there. I get it. This is what kills you about betting, right? You're just betting on people who could be like ice cold. Once again, we literally just saw it, but I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Again, that's where I think it's important to use OddsShopper to identify that. Now, whether you actually bet it, that's something, I pass all the time on bets that have positive, just because I don't like it. There's something that I see that I say, you know what, I'm going to hold off. That is the one thing in terms of the philosophies between DFS and betting, where you have the advantage in betting. You can't just remove a guy from the DFS slate and say, I have no feel, but no one else can play him either. With betting, if you don't have a great feeling, just pass. There's no opportunity. You don't lose anything by ever passing. We just had a super chat about Drummond. Thoughts on his rebounding prop over 11.5. We're looking at OddsShopper. If you have 11.5, you're probably going to be laying a little juice potentially, because I see some 12.5s out there. Mm-hmm. I don't mind going over 11.5 there, pending that you're not laying like minus 150 or anything like that. I think that'd probably be a little too rich for my blood, but I have no problem with the matchup against Washington. Are you on board with that, pending the line is right?
If you get that line, look, we got him projected for 11.52. This is sort of one of those you're playing with fire bets, but technically the median projection is ahead of the prop line, meaning the over is what you would go with. I'm not sure in terms of like ranking all the highest value bets. It's way up there tonight, but it's not a horrible bet for you.
There you go. There you have it. And a perfect way to end this show. Andrew Kang, who was super generous. Welcome to Team Awesemo, man. Got the badge. Welcome. Now you are in business. A great way to end it. There you have it. 5 up, 5 down. If you have any questions, you got at Draftaholic, at Jazzrad DFS. Let us know how you're doing. We want to hear about the feedback. We love the show. And now we're going to pass it off to the guys to take you further in. We got Loughy and Ship My Money coming up next. Special thanks to Jordan Klein behind the glass. Does a great job as always showing OddsShopper to the masses. Hit that like button on your way out. Good luck, guys. Enjoy the game and enjoy the All-Star break. You'll be seeing us around doing all sorts of sports, and we will be back next week, same time, same place.
Yeah, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. I'm Dave Loughran at Loughy_D, joined as always by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. And hey, it's the last game till the All-Star, last slate till the All-Star break, man. That's 5 games. That's all we got until next Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Just looking forward to doing a bunch of nothing for the next week.
Me too. I was actually, I don't know if I'll be able to do anything. I told
you might be. I think you're going to be doing a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I legit threw my back out today. It's never happened before. You always hear about people talking about throw their back out, right? And I'm assuming, I hope that's all that happens, so it heals on its own. But it is the most excruciating pain, man. Like just getting up and trying to walk. Can't use that word, but I just everything about it is insanely painful. It's insanely uncomfortable. And I hope it doesn't last long is the point.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully it just kind of goes away on its own. Have you tried heating or ice or anything?
Not yet. No, I might just rip some Jack after the show, but
yeah,
it's a weekday.
You definitely won't do any more damage to it just being drunk to where you can't feel it.
I try and I don't drink during the weekdays unless we do one of those live streams and then it's, fair game. But have you ever had something like that? Because it popped. I felt 2 pops.
I had once. I can't even remember what I did, if I did anything drastic. I mean, it was back, I think I was in college, so I was in shape and everything, but all I remember, I don't remember the surrounding circumstances. I just remember there being a day or two where I just couldn't move. I don't remember a whole lot other than at one point laying on the floor and just not being able to get back up. But yeah, no,
scary.
I don't even remember what I did or what caused it. But I told you earlier, you just got to get in touch with the guy that was having pills delivered yesterday.
And that was I wish you did that on the show, because it was so. Well, we talked about a guy that was running around my neighborhood, going to every door. I was on the strategy show. Was this yesterday? We talked about this, right? Yesterday. And this guy's going to every door. Did you guys get a package that was that was labeled this address? And I'm thinking, some unscrupulous business going on. This guy, he wasn't ordering something from Amazon. It was, we know how this works. So Adam, sage advice recommending that I get in touch with that guy and figure out where he's ordering from. But yeah, I just hope it goes away, because if this goes on for a week, there's no way I'm hobbling around the house,
Right.
Brutal. Someone said dad life getting to you. Dude, that's the crazy thing. I've been working out really hard recently. This is what I was doing today, and it just popped and it was gone. And yeah, I'm getting old. Sucks. Anyway, Corey Randall with the super chat, and then we'll get into all this. Happy to have you guys with us as always. Loughy, alternate ice and heat. It'll be gone in 3 days. Okay. I throw my back out 3 times a year, go to the chiropractor too. Corey, did it pop when it happened? Because that's what scared me. Tell me. And thanks for the super chat, bro. You didn't need to do that. And Manny, Loughy, get yourself some Tiger Bomb or a fine shot of whiskey on me. Thanks, man. You guys are great. We got good support around here, Adam. You need to throw your back out.
Yeah, I think with you being down, I'll probably just avoid exercise over the break, because I don't want to. We can't afford to have 2 of us hurt, so I'll take one for the team and just hang out at the bars instead.
Well, you told me though you're trying to start, get that beach bod before you go to Vegas and hang out at the pool, right?
Yeah, I have 2 months to try and motivate myself.
I got you. All right, let's hit this one more super chat and we'll get it done. Timothy Beechler, aka Screaming Eagle, $50 super chat. Man, they're rolling in today. Thank you guys. Huge thanks to the Awesemo team for helping me get my first major takedown on the 100K micro, 5K micro take all, and both of the mini maxes. Yeah, he won both. I just want Loughy to say the Eagle has landed in his best Philly accent when he does my Hall of Fame. I'm not from Philly, man. Okay, one more super chat. What's up, guys? Had a long, much needed PLO break. NFL crushed me, but back at full-time DFS. Forgot how much I love watching the commentary. Keep up the good work. Tweeted out in-game parlays been hitting. Good stuff, Andrew. Good to see you back, man. I remember you for sure. All right, you ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, I'm out of breath from all of that. Hit that thumbs up too. 162 likes. We got 1,225 people watching. At least get this. Let me hit thumbs up. Let me like my own video. There we go. Get the 200 and let's make it happen. By the way, appreciate all of the advice, guys. You guys are great. 3 days heal this up would be excellent because it feels like it's never going to go away. Miami. Oh, first question for you, and subscribe to the channel as well if I forgot to say that. First question. Can we go stars and scrubs today? And how big is that Kevin Porter news now that Schroeder played 39 minutes yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll dig into that more when we get to the game, but there's a couple of ways that starting lineup could break since Christian Wood's not on the injury report. But it's still going to be a really appealing game to get to. As far as stars and scrubs go, yes and no. I don't think that, at least right now, I don't think you have much, if any, like $3,100 Tyus Jones type plays, but you have a ton of like 4K, give or take guys. You basically just have games full of it. The Brooklyn game, Brooklyn and Washington both have a bunch of value available in that like 4 to 5K range. The Houston game does, the Clippers game does, or same game, both teams. So there is plenty of value, even if it's not all the way at the bottom.
Okay, let's do it. Kind of a fun slate. I got some good props today too. I'm actually pretty stoked about this. And a couple of them involve Dennis Schroeder, but we'll kick it off with Miami and Charlotte. You're going to, and you should be getting a decent amount of ownership on this Miami team right now. I really don't see how you wouldn't be, Adam. They're 5-point favorites, but you're talking about just a huge pace up spot against a team that leads the league in pace in Charlotte. They have a bottom 7 defense, and you've got Jimmy at a sub 9K price point. Bam's at 8,400. Everything about this just looks good for Miami, particularly their top options. And Tyler Hero is out, probably forcing more scoring duties on the Jimmy Butler once again. So let's start with the top options here in Miami in a really good matchup.
Yeah, great matchup for them. I think that with Miami, so we are still waiting on Caleb Martin, who's questionable. He matters somewhat. Last game, we got about 30 minutes from Gabe Vincent off the bench. We got like 20 minutes from Strus, but we also got like 16 minutes from Hayward Highsmith. So I think that if Martin comes back, it's pretty likely he just takes like 16 to 18 minutes, and you're still likely to get mid-20s at least from like Vincent and Strus. It could be, 30 for one, 20 for the other. I think they combine for around 50 minutes. So you do get some value there. But obviously the pieces that you're really excited about are Adebayo, Lowry, Butler. Really, really good matchup for these guys. Bam should just destroy the interior against Charlotte. Pace up spot, not a very good team defensively. Lowry's likely to play a couple of extra minutes with Tyler Hero out. He's averaged about 34 minutes per game in the games he's played with Butler and Bam active this year, but he's coming off of a game where he played 38 minutes without Hero. It's likely, I think, that you get 36 or 37 from him. So I think the priorities are Butler, Bam, and Lowry. But then as far as value, like you can rotate through any of Tucker, Vincent, Robinson, Strus. If you're really feeling risky in non-Bam lineups, you can even go to Yurtseven and hope that he picks up a few extra minutes at 3,200.
Okay, Caleb McLean trying to get something going here again. I saw your response to talking about he was only here for what do you think of? All right, so let's run down this, and you talked about a lot of this already, but obviously only 5 games, so we want to dig into everything. Yesterday was what? We had 11, so it's a little bit different. You don't need to get into some of these options. I did want to ask you, and I know we have some value. I did want to careful with that mug. I do want to ask you
what happened
about nothing. It's not you.
Did I almost miss?
No, never mind. I was telling you the sticker on the
mug. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on someone like Yurtseven? I know he's not getting a ton of minutes here, but just, Charlotte allows some of the highest rebounding totals in the league to opposing teams. Again, the pace is insane. Yurtseven is almost minimum salary. If he does end up playing, wait, actually, hold on. Who's in and out for this one?
Dedmon's out.
Dedmon is out. That's what I thought. Okay. So could fit, being the permanent guy that he is, and he's a very solid fantasy point per minute producer on a 5-game slate in large field tournaments, could 15, 16 minutes from him get you where you need to go? Cause he's at like 2% ownership.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that ownership because obviously it's not something that's going to work out all that often. But even if I project him for 15 minutes, I get a decent point per dollar score at 3,200. But where the real value comes in is if Bam gets in foul trouble or the game blows out or for any reason Yurtseven plays like 18 or 20 minutes instead of like 14 or 15, he can pretty easily just be somebody that you really need to have. So he's definitely risky, but at 2%, I just think that there is some upside there. Obviously, just don't play him with Bam.
For that price, listen, he has a 7.5 points prop, 6.5 rebound prop. He could definitely get there. And you're right. You don't want to play him with Bam, but almost minimum salary in such a good spot. I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, I have no problem with it at all. Anything
else for Miami?
No, I legitimately think everybody in their rotation, with the exception of like Highsmith, is playable.
Okay. We had a question. Elvin needs some help on DraftKings. KCP, we'll just do this now. KCP and Batum or Man and PJ Tucker?
KCP and Batum or Man and Tucker? I would lean KCP Batum.
Okay.
I don't think it's a huge difference, but
Mirage Ratani, welcome to Team Awesemo, man. Yeah, you guys want to join, hit that join down below. Get those sweet badges, free super chats each month, custom emojis, and we'll always prioritize your questions and comments along with our Discord members. Hey, thanks, Michael. Yeah, my barber's solid. Solid. Go to this guy. Just figure out where he is. I'll shout him out. Shane from Modern Mail. Hit him up if you're in the area. Guy does a nice cut. Give him some business. What are you laughing at, Jordan? He's a buddy of mine. He's a good guy. All right. Let's talk about Charlotte. Usually when Charlotte's involved in games, Adam, we like both sides of it just because it's generally high scoring. But Miami plays at such a slow pace. They're a great defense, allowing the fewest rebounds to opponents on this. There's a laundry list of stats that just don't bode well for opponents from a DFS standpoint when it comes to this Miami team.
Yeah, pretty brutal spot for Charlotte. The thing that still keeps them at least relevant in DFS is that most of these guys are also playing a lot of minutes. So you can still get to a $9,400 LaMelo. You can still get the $7,900 Bridges. Rozier is probably going to play around 38 minutes as well. What I think is really interesting with this team, and I have absolutely no idea what to make of it because it makes no sense to me, but it's happened twice now. They are running a lot of Mason Plumlee and Montrezl Harrell alongside each other. That is not a pairing that I can wrap my head around at all. It's hard for me to project them for the minutes they've been playing because I have a really hard time thinking that Borrego is going in the game saying like, yeah, let's do this. But then he does it. So I do think that kind of just taking shots at the front court here. We had PJ Washington in the starting lineup last game. I'd mentioned before that his production isn't as good at the 4 as it is at the 5, but you should still expect on average around 0.9 fantasy points per minute for him. Factoring in the matchup, it comes down to like around 0.8, but at 4,900, not a terrible play. And then Harrell at 5,300, Plumlee at 5,600. There's still a chance that you're getting 30 minutes from either guy. So I don't think I would play Harrell and Plumlee together. Just because the way I view it is if you play them together, you're really banking on that rotation, that weird rotation holding up and them combining for like 60 minutes. If you play them separately, at least you're giving yourself extra outs basically where even if they don't go to that rotation, you could get, a 28-20 split in Plumlee's favor or in Harrell's favor, depending how they're playing. So I do think that even though they have been playing alongside each other, I'm not comfortable yet going to both of Harrell and Plumlee together.
Okay. Man, Plumlee's when that guy gets the minutes, he's good. It's insane that you get like, for example, last game, what did he play? 36 minutes, I think, was a rebound shy of it. What do you have on in the back? What?
Who are you talking to?
You. What's reflecting in your Taylor jersey? It was just you watching.
Oh, the net. It's my TV's on like the Netflix like landing page.
Oh, okay. It was a woman on there, and I said, "Oh man, I caught him."
Yeah, no, it's
on all 5 TVs.
Now it's the Kanye documentary. Before that, it was Tinder Swindler.
Oh, okay. Have you watched that?
No,
me neither. I saw it today though. I did the other day rewatch Braveheart. What a fantastic movie!
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh my god!
Which shouldn't surprise anybody.
You got to watch it. It's on Netflix, but. What I was saying, and you just broke that down a lot, and I know it's a tough matchup for Plumlee, but do you think he'll continue to play this many minutes? Because at this current price point, right, mid 5K, if he does, even with low shot volume, his ability to dish out assists and rebounds is well above average.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's like the huge question here, because with the rotations that they've run basically to close out 2 games ago and then throughout all of last game, then I think the answer is yes. I mean, you got 36 minutes, including overtime. So basically, he played around 31 or 32 minutes in regulation. If they're going to keep giving Montrezl Harrell, a bunch of minutes alongside Plumlee, then there's no real threat to Plumlee's minutes. You're basically just getting like 96 minutes of Harrell, Plumlee, Washington, and then a few minutes going to JT Thor. I just don't have confidence yet that rotation really holds up long term. So that's why I'm still hesitant to play those two together. But I am still projecting it. Like if we hadn't seen that happen, you would just be giving like 26 minutes to Plumlee, 22 to Harrell. Because we have been seeing that, I think doing something like 30 for Plumlee, 26 for Harrell makes sense.
Okay. Teddy Wayman, welcome to Team Awesemo. We're bringing him in today, building the crew up around here. I love it. Anybody else for Charlotte you want to hit on?
No, I think that's it. I mentioned the front court. Oubre is, I assume, coming off the bench again. They started PJ Washington in his place last game. I have a very difficult time getting to that price tag. And then, Ball, Rozier, Bridges, I think are all fine. They're all relatively expensive, but also not that popular.
Okay. Washington and Brooklyn. Let's get into this one. Free content today, too, if you guys are interested. Ownership rankings for NBA, totally free. You don't need a sub or anything. NHL player projections, also free. And if you're just looking to get into it, right, you want to get all of our tools, you finally want to check this out, maybe you've decided it's time to do something different, or you had a bit of a win and you got away and you want to sustain what's going on around here, join us, awesemo.com/join. Throw it on the screen, Jordan. You can do monthly NBA, you can do yearly, you can do a weekly express pass, you can do every sport. We've got the boom bust tool, the top stack tool, top plays tool, ownership projections, player projections, not just for basketball, but for every sport out there, right? UFC, NASCAR, MLB, if it happens, NHL, you name it, esports, if they have contests out there, we got content for it. All the tools too, created by Awesemo himself. You know about him. So check it out. Oh, and the Fantasy Cruncher add-on on top of that, if you want to get in there. But yeah, month, year, week, whatever you're trying to do, one sport, all sports, we got you covered. No matter what your budget, what style of player you are, check it out at awesemo.com/join and join our Discord as well. Great community. On top of the fact that we have the premium office hours channel with the pros answering your questions and helping you better your game. So let's dive into the second one. Washington and Brooklyn. You've got the Wizards, Adam, coming into Brooklyn. Nets on a 2-game win streak. That Seth Curry addition's making a difference for sure, despite Patty Mills being terrible he's been awful, dude. But we will get into that. Hopefully you hit all those unders yesterday on Mills after Adam and I talked about that on the strategy show. But with Washington, Kuzma's price keeps coming up. And we talked the other day about how that game was going to happen where he just rips off like almost 30 shots. It happened. It's just, you've talked a lot about his usage being not that high without Dinwiddie and Beal on the floor. Where do you think it settles in at, and how much do you want of him today now that he's crossed that 9K mark?
So I think it's really important to note, like, if you just go on, if you go and add more funds or Howie, like whatever you want to call it, and take Beal and Dinwiddie off the floor, the usage rate is lower than you would expect. But if you just look at the stretch at the games where both players have been inactive, Kuzma has like a 28.5% usage rate. So I expect that to continue. We'd seen over the last month and a half, basically, he has like a 27% usage rate. There's no reason you wouldn't expect that to go up with the current form of the team. And then he's still rebounding at a high level. He's still getting a lot of assists. So I still like him here. I mean, 9K, if you had told me at the beginning of the season that I would be perfectly fine paying 9K for Kyle Kuzma, I would assume the Wizards were having a really good year. Or I guess that Beal was out. But I don't have any issue with this price tag at all. Like, he's playing really big minutes. He's getting up a ton of shots. He's contributing peripherals as well. It's not like you're just talking about a scoring dependent player here.
Okay. Teddy Wayman with a super chat said, dude, you got to watch Braveheart. That's referring to you. Yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah, and I'll add it to the list of like every good movie that came out between 1995 and like 2000 that I haven't watched.
The problem is Netflix just added a million good movies.
I watched Uncut Gems earlier. I hadn't seen that yet.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and I was
so
like half
dark.
watching too. Yeah, it is. I probably missed some stuff. I was just like half watching, but
you watched like the big part, right?
Yeah, I saw the end.
Yeah. Craig L. Loughy, I suspect you aggregated your How do you pronounce that, Adam? Look at that. Soas?
I have no idea. I mean, yeah, that's how I pronounce it. I don't know what it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Google
aggravated. Probably something in your back. Okay. I
No,
thought
yeah,
it said
yeah, yeah, but I'm
aggregated.
saying how do Soas, right? Maybe Soas.
That's what I would say, but I have absolutely no idea.
Google it. You sit most of the day and then hit the gym. See, you're right, dude. That's the problem. Sedentary, and then you go over to that. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. All right. I was thinking about this earlier today when I was looking at ownership. Have we gotten an update on it yet before I dig into this with you? An hour ago. Okay. So I'd like to hear your breakdown on KCP and Avdia, because it feels to me that even though KCP is someone that's likely going to play, well, I guess it depends on Rui's status, but a few more minutes than Avdia. And if this guy is not shooting well, you're getting essentially nothing from it. The peripherals are god awful. He's 9 for 14 from 3-point range over the last 2 games, and he's almost 20% owned today. Meanwhile, Denny Avdia is averaging over 11 rebound chances per game since the trade deadline, and has actually been pretty encouraging from a peripheral standpoint. So how do you look at both of these guys tonight?
Yeah, I think they look pretty similar here. And I think that the ownership makes sense just in that, it's a 5-game slate and you do have guard forward eligibility on both guys. But I think that your concerns are right. I mean, KCP in the 4 games now that he's played without Beal and without Dinwiddie, he has a 20.4% usage rate, which is a nice bump for KCP, but it's not like that's a crazy usage rate where he's definitely going to get there on volume. He could just very easily have a low scoring game, and he's not doing anything peripheral wise. He has a 6% rebounding percentage, a 7% assist percentage in those games. So I think he looks good just in terms of points per dollar, but I do think it's important to keep in mind, that he is a scoring dependent player with a low usage rate at pretty high ownership. And then Avdi is kind of the opposite. He's risky in that he's coming off the bench, which always, I think, just makes players' minutes a little bit less secure. He's not as high a usage guy, but he's doing a lot in the way of peripherals, rebounding specifically, as you mentioned. Has been at a high level over those 4 games. He has a 13.8% rebounding percentage, 17.5% usage rate, 9.2% assist percentage, averaging about 30 minutes per game. So I think they are similar. Avdia is getting ownership as well at 13%. So it's not a situation where I'm saying like I would just jam Avdia over KCP, but I think they're both pretty good plays.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing too that I like about Avdia is a lot of those minutes are going to come with Drummond off the floor. Not talking about a defensive standpoint, but from a rebounding perspective, sure. it definitely helps. Anything else you want to get to for Washington here? Ho, Neto, Bryant, anybody else worth talking about?
Neto and Ish Smith, I think, are worth a mention with it being a 5-game slate. They played a few minutes alongside each other yesterday where Neto played about 32 or 33 minutes. Smith played like 21. So that makes me a little bit more interested here. I had talked about Smith previously too, that I just think he's going to produce at a better rate with Washington than he was with Charlotte, given who his teammates are. So at 4K, we still haven't seen that game yet where Smith ends up closing over Neto, but I think at some point it happens. So there is some upside there. And then similarly, if you get 30 minutes from Neto at 4,600, that's not a bad value either. So I think relative to salary, Kuzma is still the top guy for me from Washington, but KCP, Neto, Avdia, Smith, Kispert to some extent, all at their respective salaries just look like pretty solid projections that you can get to. I think the biggest question mark here is how many minutes Daniel Gafford plays. He's 3K flat. So if he somehow played, like if he split center minutes with Thomas Bryant, for example, he'd be one of the best plays on the slate, but he's been out since February 5th. I have him in for like 16 minutes right now. I don't really have a better idea of what to do. Alex has him in for less than that. So it's tough to be too confident there. It's kind of a Yurt 7 type play, except I'm not even sure that Gafford's capable of playing like 24 minutes like Yurt 7 would be if Adebayo was in foul trouble or something. For
sure. You want to talk about Brooklyn then?
Yeah.
All right. So Andre Drummond, let's actually start here. His rotations have been kind of weird, right? I mean, he would have closed out his first game. It ended up coming out in a blowout with a couple minutes to go. But then last game played more minutes in the first half and the third quarter. But LaMarcus Aldridge got red hot off the bench and ended up closing in that game in a comeback win against the Knicks. So Now that Drummond's price has come up a little bit, how do you figure his rotation looks like? Do you have any good read on that?
No. So yesterday we still got 44 minutes combined from Drummond and Aldridge. In the first game, it was 24 for Drummond and then 20 for Aldridge. Yesterday, it was 22 for Drummond, 22 for Aldridge. Drummond had the better first half rotation where, he started the game and then he closed the first half. Looked like he was going to play a bunch of minutes. He played like 14 and a half minutes in the first half. Played his normal third quarter rotation, but then he never came back. LaMarcus Aldridge closed out the game. That is certainly something that could happen, but I think that, if Aldridge isn't playing really well, you get more minutes for Drummond. I have it at 23 minutes for Drummond, 21 for Aldridge. It makes both guys look decent. I think Drummond is going to get a million rebounds here. Like, he should just absolutely destroy Washington's front court for whatever minutes he's out there. So I do still like him at 6K. 5K for Aldridge. I mean, it is a good spot if he happens to play more than 20 to 21 minutes. Right now we have Drummond getting 24% ownership, Aldridge only getting 3%. So even though I like Drummond more, I do think that ownership on Aldridge is too low.
I hear you. I was thinking Aldridge might have been a little bit cheaper, since Drummond came to town and his minutes are, all over the place. Like, I don't know, 5K from Aldridge, and what are you projecting him for? 20 minutes?
I'm at 21.
21. That's all right. That's enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, he projects pretty neutral for me there, where it's like 26 or so DraftKings points in 20 to 21 minutes.
And his usage has been very high, even since they brought these guys over. So I think it's
for the season without Irving, Durant, or Harden on the floor, Aldridge has a 30% usage rate. In the 2 games he's played since the Drummond trade, it's even higher.
I think it's 33. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seth Curry. Let's talk about Curry. We can get into Patty Mills. I mean, dude, Patty Mills is shooting 26% since the trade deadline. Brutal. And he's still playing big minutes. Do you think there's any chance that Patty Mills starts losing minutes?
Right now, probably not, because I don't really know where they would go. I mean,
could you just give more to Thomas?
Yeah, I'll say, you could argue Cam Thomas if he's shooting well, but it's not like he's a particularly efficient shooter either. He just does it a lot.
Scores.
Yeah. I mean, he's a volume scorer.
He's shooting a whole lot better than Mills. Look, I'm just throwing it out there because I know they've won 2 straight, but they need to win games right now in this conference with Durant and Irving, Irving out most of the time.
Yeah, for sure. I think you could see within a specific game, if Cam Thomas is hot, he steals minutes from Mills, but I doubt that ends up being the plan. I mean, for the season, Mills has a 57.8% true shooting percentage. Thomas is at 52.7%. So I don't think the plan coming in is going to be give Thomas more looks.
Yeah, look, you're probably right. He's just been so bad. If he plays 38 minutes, though, this is the problem. Do we have to go back to considering Patty Mills again? And it feels
considering him, sure. I mean, he's shooting guard, small forward. He's 5,100. He's probably playing 34 minutes, give or take. The issue is that he's become extremely one-dimensional with Seth Curry there. If you just look at his rates this year without Harden, Irving, and Durant on the floor, and you and I talked about this a lot yesterday, he's got a 20.3% assist percentage and a 23% usage rate. But in these games since they got Curry, the usage rate is lower. The assist percentage is almost non-existent because you've basically just turned Patty Mills into an off-ball shooter. So he's kind of like Duncan Robinson-esque in that if he's not making his shots, then he's not going to do a whole lot. In the 2 games that they've played together, Mills has averaged 34.8 minutes per game, but only 5.5 potential assists. Seth Curry has 10.5 potential assists per game. Bruce Brown is at 9. James Johnson in 9 less minutes per game is averaging 6.5. Cameron Thomas in 6 less minutes is averaging 4.5, so 1 fewer. Drummond is only averaging 1.5 less in 11 minutes less. So it just, gives you the idea that Mills is just really not involved in that role. And it's like KC. It's a more expensive KCP.
Pretty
basically
much
the way he's being used right now.
Yeah, 100%. Big significant minutes. And a decent enough opportunities as from beyond the arc that if he is, it all comes down to if he's shooting well from 3, you're going to get some decent games from Patty Mills. But if he's not, he's going to blow your lineup up, especially at 5K. He's not even that cheap. That's the thing. you know?
Right. Like he's cheap enough where if you don't have him, you're not going to feel great about it because it's not difficult to beat a $5,100 price tag. But yeah, I mean, it's not like he's doing anything else. Like in these 2 games, he has 2 assists, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 rebounds, 11 and 12 field goal attempts. Like he's not going to keep shooting 27%. No. But if you're just talking about essentially a shooter, even if he goes for like 28 points, that's probably 28 fantasy points at 5,100 or something like that. It's not like you're going to have that guy. So I think at 13%, like the ownership projection has dropped as well. We have a really big gap where Seth Curry is twice as popular. I think that's fully deserved. So it's not like, before when we were talking about Mills being the same ownership as Curry or anything.
Right. And we talked about it yesterday, but he had 35 touches in that one game. When you're talking about no Durant, no Harden, and no KD and no Irving, that should not be the case, right? Like 3 potential assists in games when you're playing 30 plus minutes. Yeah, it's not going to get you there. So you're right. You need to rely on scoring. What do you want to do with Seth Curry and the rest of these guys that we haven't touched on yet?
I like going right back to Curry. I mean, he's only $400 more expensive than Mills, has the same positional eligibility, and he's just so much more involved, both in terms of shooting and playmaking. He's, like you had said before, he's just really kind of taken over and been really good here. We know he's a very efficient scorer, and I mentioned it before their game yesterday. I do buy into the increased usage as well because he had played over 200 minutes with the Sixers this year where Embiid and Tobias Harris were both off the floor. And over those minutes, he had a 26% usage rate and about a 21.5% assist percentage. So it's not like it's unprecedented to see Seth Curry take on a much bigger role when he's on a team full of guys that suck around him. I don't think it's that surprising that we're seeing that happen here. It's a good matchup for him. I think there should certainly be a bigger gap in salary between him and Patty Mills.
Okay. Welcome to the team, J-Miz. Bring them all in. You're not on the team yet. Hit that join now. Get in here. Get those, get all the perks. Join us or don't. It's cool. But welcome, J-Miz. Gerald had a question, Adam, with a super chat. New to NBA DFS. This shouldn't take long to answer. How many from one team would you put in the lineup? Also, do you need a bring back correlation? Good evening. I'll say this much and throw it to you out. This is nothing like football, if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah. I mean, it's all going to kind of depend on what team you're talking about, how big the slate is, all of that. But in general, I don't really go above 3 from the same team unless you're just talking about a team where like they have 8 players and everybody's 3,500 or something. Most teams, I don't really want to go above 2, assuming that they're like at full strength and correctly priced. As far as a bring back, no, you don't. The only time I've talked about this a lot on previous shows, the only time I consider it or do it is like I'll set a rule where if I happen to get 3 guys from the same team, then I want somebody from the other team, just because in that case, like if all 3 guys have big tournament winning games and they get their full minutes, that means probably somebody on the other team's having a huge game as well.
For sure. It also doesn't
in general, I don't worry about that.
Yeah, not right. It also doesn't hurt to do that if a game has a huge spread too.
Sure.
And it is a limited roster on one side, and these guys could get their doors blown off, and then the starters don't play. But if you're playing 3 from the dog, having a guy on the other side in the event that they all get full allotment of minutes is worth considering. All right. You're not if you have bring backs and you have multiple guys from each team, it's not a bad thing either.
No, not at all.
Yeah, just to throw that out there. All right, we got 3 games to go here.
Hang on a sec. Please. We didn't talk about Brown or Johnson.
Oh, okay. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, so I mean Bruce
Caleb
Brown,
Martin's
I think is
out.
a good. Who?
Caleb Martin, but I think he was doubtful.
Oh, okay. Bruce Brown, I expect to start again. He's averaged about 28 minutes per game as a starter this year. He's averaged 0.82 DraftKings points per minute without Irving, Harden, Durant. I expect him to play in the 30-minute range here at 4,500. He just looks like another guy that is kind of the same as like KCP and Avdia and everyone else that we've talked about kind of in that price range. He's not getting a whole lot of ownership here, so I do think he's a guy that you could get to save some ownership. The 4 spot, I don't know who's going to start. It had been Kessler Edwards for a bunch of games, but his minutes also had kind of been waning. Yesterday, they went to James Johnson, which I had said I thought Johnson would play more because of that matchup. I don't know who starts here. They could go back to Edwards. They could stick with Johnson. If Johnson starts, I like him at 3,600. If he comes off the bench, he's still playable at 3,600, but obviously becomes riskier.
All right. Hey, Yahoo. Daily Fantasy Sports. Heard of it? Well, they got the $50,000 baller tonight to wrap up this not really first half, but pre-All-Star break. Check that out and use the link in the description below, or the one that producer Jordan, there he goes. Producer Jordan Klein's about to throw in the chat right now, because if you sign up at Yahoo, you get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, $90 value. All the tools I talked about before, everything entirely free for the month, every single sport, you name it. And if you want to get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on on top of that, you can do that too. But all you have to do, right? And Yahoo will send us your name. We'll email you. We'll get you set up. We'll get you in the Discord. All of that is play one paid contest. So you sign up, you deposit, you play one paid contest, and you'll also get $10 in site credit over at Yahoo when you do that. So even if you deposited $10, play a $10 contest, they give you another $10 in credit, and you get the free month of Awesemo Plus. It's phenomenal. Lower management fees than you're going to find anywhere else as well. Some might refer to that as rake. So check it out. I think a lot of you guys have already done this, right? Taking advantage of that if you didn't have an account. But if you are new to DFS, if you're new to NBA DFS, if you haven't signed up at Yahoo yet, don't do it without clicking that link. Free month, all of the tools on the site, everything we have. There's no strings attached to this either. It's a no-brainer, as one might say. No strings attached. Just click the link and get the free month. Why not, right? All right. And that's, Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports, sponsor of the Deeper Dive, getting that $50,000 baller tonight as well. Hey, what do you want to do with Luka tonight, Adam? You got the Mavericks on the road traveling to, is it still the Smoothie King Center? 2.5 point.
No idea.
It used to be. What a name, huh? 2.5 point favorites, 216 total. I always thought they should have called it like the Pelicans Nest, or the Bird's Nest or something like that. Nice ring to that, right?
More so than Smoothie King.
That's what I'm saying. All right. What do you want to do with Luka today?
I mean, he's fine. Nest. Like the answer is never like not to play him, but I do think that there are alternatives as well. As far as the pay up options go today, just in general, I think that ownership plays a really big role for me. I don't think there's a big gap between Luka, Embiid, and Giannis. Giannis has the most favorable positional eligibility. He's also the lowest owned. Embiid's the highest owned at 28%, Luka at 23%, and Giannis at about 15%. So I think Luka's a good play, and across 150 lineups, of course, I'm going to have him, but he is also the most expensive of the group, only has point guard eligibility on DraftKings, and I don't think is drastically different than the other two.
Okay. What is the Smoothie King? Is the Smoothie King like just a smoothie chain?
Yeah, it's like what's like tropical smoothie.
Okay. You ever been there? We don't have any Smoothie Kings around.
Yeah,
here.
I've been to Smoothie King a couple of times.
Okay. Any good?
Actually, I don't. There's a smoothie place like on my block. I don't remember if it's Tropical Smoothie or Smoothie King. I think it's Smoothie King.
It must be doing okay for a smoothie shop to have a stadium named after him.
Yeah, you would think. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the one like right outside my door is a Smoothie King.
Okay, I'm sure you go there often. Where else do we want to go with Dallas today? Brunson, DFS, Maxey. Anybody else stand out? Any low-owned tournament options look good to you?
So we are waiting on the Reggie Bullock news. If he's out, last game we got Josh Green starting the first half. We got Maxi Kleber starting the second half. Kleber played a ton of minutes. He's still only 4K. So if Bullock's out, I like going back to Kleber and expecting him to play 28 to 30 minutes. Makes him look pretty good at 4K. If Bullock is in, you're probably getting like 24 to 26 from Kleber, which is still okay, but nowhere near, as appealing. I do have some interest in Jalen Brunson in tournaments. He's only 6,400 on DraftKings. We didn't see Dinwiddie cut into his minutes at all last game. Now, if Bullock's back, it is possible that it has a trickle-down effect and Brunson plays a little bit less, but he played like 39 minutes last game. If he gets 34 or 35 minutes at 6,400, he does have a ceiling there, but it would mostly just be useful in the sense of like, Reggie Jackson, for example, is projected to be the second highest owned guy on DraftKings. I think Reggie Jackson is clearly a better play than Brunson, but in an individual lineup, if you want to go from 38% owned Jackson down to 14% owned Brunson to save some ownership, that would make some sense.
Okay. Manny C with the free super chat because he's a member. Has it been that long? 11 months. What a year. Yeah, Manny, it has. And supported us from the jump, bro. Anybody? Let's talk about New Orleans. I think we can move on to the Pels here and hit that. What are we at? Almost 400 likes. Yeah, we're crossing the 600 threshold today. No question. 207 to go. If you forgot, we forgive you. Just take that 1 second. Hit that thumbs up if you like this stuff. Is Zion ever going to play again?
Who?
Zion Williamson ever going to play again?
I mean, I hope so, but I'm not super confident in it.
Doesn't look good. I mean, he obviously will, but it's a shame. There's no way he comes back this season. Do you think?
I haven't paid a lot of attention to it. I thought they were suggesting he may be able to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go with no. We'll see. Anyway, CJ McCollum, let's start here. This dude, how about now? On DraftKings, at least $1,000 more expensive than Ingram. Fella's playing well out there or down there in New Orleans.
Yeah, he hasn't missed a beat. He's just come in playing huge minutes. He has similar rates to Portland, actually even a little bit better so far. I expect them to come down a little bit. Like Ingram has really taken a hit with McCollum there. Ingram has a 25% usage rate, 17% assist percentage, compared to overall this season a 30% usage rate and a 27% assist percentage. I think that McCollum does knock Ingram's rates down, but I also think that you see McCollum's rates come down a little bit from where they've been through these first 4 games where he has a 30% usage rate, 26% assist percentage. I think you probably lose a couple of points there. But McCollum's someone that I've liked getting to in tournaments recently just because he is getting a lot of opportunities here. He hasn't been particularly popular ever since coming over. He's only projected for about 10% ownership here. I don't love the matchup against a pretty slow Dallas team. Only a 216 total in this game, 107 implied total for New Orleans. But I don't mind getting to some McCollum. Ingram at 7,500, I think, is pretty fairly priced given the step back that you have to expect with McCollum there. I think my favorite piece here, though, is Joval, who has been a little bit more inconsistent recently, but he still has about a 20% usage rate in the games with McCollum. If he can avoid foul trouble, he's still likely to give you 30 to 32 minutes. And I think he should have a lot of success against this Dallas front court.
Yeah, Boney, that's a good question. If Zion doesn't ever play again, who has to get the butt tattoo? Jordan, do you remember that bet that Josh and I had? Yeah. What was it? First team all pro? Is that it? Yeah. I said he never would be. Oh, sorry. Not all pro, all NBA first team. Yeah. I said no. Josh said yes. Ass cheek tattoo, Zion Williamson's face. I mean, I have the upper hand against Josh when it comes to bets with the mustache, with that chip. You guys still hold that against me. And it's coming, man. He's just going to wear down, unfortunately. But yeah, not a bet I'm looking to lose. If I do, though, I'll be sure to document that because I'm an open book, kind of. All right. Are you good on the Pels?
Mostly. Jackson Hayes played a hell of a lot of minutes last game. And so Hernan Gomez was in the rotation, played 18 minutes. Hayes played almost 30 minutes off the bench. Joval still played 27 minutes and had some foul trouble. I don't know if they keep going to that, but it's kind of interesting because Hayes is only $4,600.
Okay.
With power forward eligibility.
Sure. Philly and Milwaukee. Here's a fun one for you. Joel Embiid against Giannis Antetokounmpo. Sixers coming off an embarrassing blowout loss at home where you had Harden in a maroon suit jacket with the sleeves cut off, ringing the bell. I mean, things got out of hand quick. They lost by 48 points. Now they got to travel to Milwaukee and face this Bucks team. Man, it should be fun, but this is another tough matchup, man. Joel Embiid still has a points prop of 31.5. So you expect big numbers from both him and Giannis. I guess the question really is, among all of the top tier options that you've got today, you have Giannis, you have Embiid, you have Doncic. The Joel Embiid's still pulling the most ownership out of all of them, Adam.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising to me. Not that I don't like Embiid here, because obviously I do, but this is another slate where there's a lot of center options. I mean, you have both guys on Brooklyn. You have Zubac, who we haven't talked about yet. You have Christian Wood, who apparently is going to play. You have both guys on Charlotte. You have Bam. You have Joval. There's You have Bobby Portis. Like there's still a lot of mid-range centers, and obviously Embiid is only center eligible. So I think he looks really, really good. But as I mentioned before, I do think that I kind of just want to be getting more of the lowest owned guys or lowest owned of the studs, which right now is Giannis on the other side of this game. So I think Embiid looks really, really good. I don't have any issue with playing him, but I anticipate getting a little bit less than the field most likely.
Butthole says, Loughy, a true Philly fan, must be hard to talk about that loss. No, not at all. I thought it was hilarious that Harden's first game sitting there watching them get crushed. Yeah, Adam, I like when we get super chats that, certain people may have the same question. So it benefits all of us, right? Carlos Gomez had a good one. And obviously sometimes this can be slate specific, but I think you can provide a good answer here. He has, hi, Carlos. Is it plausible to win without a top 3 payout option? So take that not just for tonight, but on those nights where, you have all of those high priced guys, but also a good mid-range. How do you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. One of the driving factors is what the value is, what the cheap value is like on the slate. The better inexpensive options you have, the less likely it is you're going to win without a top guy. Because what it does essentially is if you have somebody at like 12K and they go for 60 fantasy points, if you have a bunch of cheap guys that go for like 35 fantasy points at 3,500 or something, it doesn't matter that the 60 fantasy points at 12K isn't a great return on the salary. It's still 60 points from one lineup spot, and it's going to be really, really useful. Similarly, if you have if you have a bunch of value at 3,500 that isn't very good and they all go for like 18 points, getting 60 from a 12K guy isn't going to be as useful as getting like 52 from a 9K guy or something like that, where you have an extra $3,000 to spend because those cheap guys didn't do well. So it's always plausible, but the quality of the inexpensive value definitely makes it more likely. Like if the inexpensive value is good, it makes it more likely that you need those top end guys just for the raw points. And that's something that is reflected in the boom bust tool as well. If you look at optimal lineup percentage, that'll come into play. Also, the stronger the mid range is, then the less likely that you need to pay all the way up as well. Like we had a slate recently where there were just a number of like 8K guys that should have been 9K or 9,500. If you have 6 guys at $8,000 to choose from that have a realistic chance of going for 50 to 60 points, it makes it less appealing to pay for a 12K guy. So a lot of it just really has to do with what else is available on the slate.
Right. Yeah. I mean, people try so often to jam in multiple, top tier studs on slates that just don't have very good value. When, like you're saying, if you can get those 55, 60 point games from an 8 or 9K player, albeit maybe a little bit less consistently, can make some good lineups doing it that way. And Jordan, I don't know where, there he is. Jordan's opening a Amazon package, or is that a Domino's box? I can't even tell. Jordan, check to see if I missed Aiden's super chat, please. I can't find it anywhere, but Goody had one, $20. Thanks, bro. Hey guys, I hit Josh and Adam up this morning about playing 2 of the 3 studs in your lineups. I think it depends on who is playing in the late game. Still within 10 points of optimal on DK. Thoughts again, Embiid top. I guess he's essentially asking, can you play 2 of the 3 studs? I think we know what's going on in the late game for the most part, Adam.
Yeah. He had asked this morning if it was viable to play 2 of them. It is. I mean, you have enough value with, basically all of Brooklyn, all of Washington. You have, some pieces from the Clippers and Houston that you can use. So yeah, it is viable. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't think that it's not like you have, a bunch, like 3 different 3K guys that you can't get away from and that are going to like force you into massive stars and scrubs builds. I still like some mid-range guys. So I think it's pretty much the same answer as this morning. Like Josh said, that his top projected lineup with, I think, Embiid and Giannis was like 10 points off of his optimal. So it's doable, but it's not something that I expect to be doing like constantly.
Okay. We got 1 game to go after this, so we're fine on time. Jordan, you found that? My man, thank you. How often are you going to be stacking Giannis and Embiid? I guess similar question to what Goody was asking.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't made lineups yet, so I don't really know. I doubt it's going to be that frequent.
Okay. And then we had one from Discord, Adam. I'm going to try and get these out of the way so then we can take the next 10 minutes to rip through all these. the rest of the games. And stick around. Eric and Greg coming up live before lock next. 30-minute after show, all of that good stuff. Hopefully you'll join them. And I hope that you guys, before this one, if you are around, are tuning into the prop show. It's awesome. It's a super fun betting show. It's like 25, 30 minutes leading up to this. Same stream, same channel, everything. So each day, if you're around, tune in a little bit early, hang out with those guys, show them some love, and get some action in the betting space as well. Okay. And then last one, I don't know how to pronounce this. Foth 07. How much do you guys factor in pace? Using LaMelo, for example, would he be more fade because he's technically getting pace down because Miami's so slow, or does it really not matter? No, pace definitely matters, especially if it's a huge pace down spot like this against a good defense, but it's not the be all end all.
It shows up in projections is the big thing. So
Right.
Don't look at, like, you shouldn't look at LaMelo's projection tonight, which, all right, so like, for example, Alex has, so we have LaMelo projected for 42.5 DraftKings points. You shouldn't look at that and then say, like, view LaMelo as worse than that because it's a pace down spot. If he was playing against like the Kings or, some bad defense, some fast paced team, he would just project higher.
Right.
So it goes into the projections, but you don't want to double count it.
For sure.
But like when we mention pace on a show, it's more so just describing why a player projects how they do. So if you're using the tools to build lineups, it's already baked in. You shouldn't be like, oh, well, LaMelo's showing up a lot, but I need to take him out because of pace. Like, it's already in there.
Oh, right. Yeah. If that's the question, then yeah, exactly. Yeah. But look, elevated pace leads not just to more field goal attempts, but just more everything. And sometimes it's subtle, but it can make a difference. So like you said, it's baked into the projections already. Did you want to hit, like, is there anybody from Philly aside from Embiid? I know Harris's price is coming down a little bit. Maxi's getting a little bit of ownership. Is there anybody else though that really stands out?
I like the price tag on Harris a bit. 7,100 on DraftKings, 7,700 on FanDuel. I think this game could end up being a little bit more appealing for fantasy than it seems like it's getting credit for, because these are two teams that are good. And so when you think about average playing time, a lot of times you kind of can get an extra couple of minutes in games like this where it's likely to be a competitive game. I mean, it is still a 7-point spread, but it wouldn't surprise anybody if this game is really competitive and comes down to the wire. If you get 36 or 37 minutes from Tobias Harris at 7,100 or 7,700, I think that's a pretty decent spot to get to at low ownership. Outside of that, it's kind of like you can play roulette with the sub 4K guys. $3,100 Green, $3,700 Thibault, $3,200 Niang, and just kind of hope that one of them knocks down a bunch of open threes here. But good luck one, getting it to happen, and two, figuring out which one it's going to be.
For sure. All right, moving along here. Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis, Drew, Middleton. We don't have a ton of time, so let me just toss this one over to you. How do you prioritize or not prioritize Milwaukee tonight?
I really like Milwaukee. I think that they are going a bit under-owned here. Giannis, I've already mentioned a couple of times, I really like in tournaments. He's only projected for like 16% ownership on DraftKings right now. He's just as good a point per minute fantasy guy as Embiid is. He's likely to play more minutes than his season average, given that this has a pretty good chance of being a competitive game. And he's the only one of the three pay-up options on DraftKings that has multi-position eligibility. He's power forward and center eligible as opposed to just point guard or just center. On FanDuel, you have small forward and power forward, so you can use him at two relatively weak positions. So I really like getting to Giannis in tournaments. But even beyond that, Bobby Portis at 6,700 on DraftKings, I think it's likely that he starts losing a couple of minutes per game with Ibaka there. But even at 28 to 30 minutes, he's like a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy. You could certainly see a big game from him. On FanDuel, he has power forward eligibility at 6,300. So I like him there. I think Ibaka plays around 24 minutes. He's been garbage in his two games with Milwaukee. He's averaged 0.65 fantasy points per minute. But even if he doesn't get back to the 1 fantasy point per minute rate that he was putting up with the Clippers, I think it's likely he settles into 0.85 fantasy points per minute and plays around 24 minutes here. You have Wara at 3,300, who's likely to give you 24 minutes. Wigginton at 3,500 is, I think, pretty risky, but could conceivably give you, low to mid 20s as well with no Grayson Allen tonight. So I think Milwaukee is actually a really interesting team.
Okay. Malakar with the free super chat. He said, I've been here longer than Manny C. I love the show. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Jordan, he should have the blue badge. Where is it? You take it from him?
I think he gets it after the 12th month like elapses.
Oh,
and I think that's when he'll get it. Yeah,
that's a little sketchy. That's okay. That's
looking at the boom bust. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good. I was talking about nothing.
Looking at the boom bust tool for DraftKings right now, we have 5 guys on Milwaukee projected to be at least somewhat underowned in terms of optimal percentage versus ownership. We have Ibaka being optimal 9% of the time at like 5% ownership, Portis 9% at like 6% ownership, Holiday 15% at 13%, Giannis 16 at 15, Middleton 12 at 11. This is a team I think I'm going to be targeting a lot in tournaments.
Okay. Hey, real quick here, we had a ton of big winners, a lot of solid wins recently. Before we get to this last game, it'll be more straightforward than you think. But awesemo.com/avatar, all you got to do is go there, download the avatar, right? And use it on Yahoo, DraftKings, FanDuel, wherever it is you please. If you hit top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, tweet us at Awesemo, HOF, and not only get inducted into the Hall of Fame here, we do this every night, but also get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. It's a win-win. Or even if you don't qualify, but you're proud of a certain win, hit us up. We'll get you up here anyway. Screaming Eagle said, well, I did it. I won it all. I won the 100K micro and the 5K, $16,842. I'm an Awesemo success story, hands down to the best DFS info program online. That's awesome, man. Congratulations to you. I love seeing that stuff, especially in these mega large field tournaments. Michael Campbell, 2,500, the shaky 12381 in the mini max as well. Congrats, man. I know you're in here hanging with us all the time. This one's awesome because this dude was playing super low stakes and just keeps winning. Bing Stets Pearl, 2 and 3 tonight, less than a week on Awesemo sub. Nobody pivoted the Schroeder and Şengün, only 10% on 2,500 and 500. Look at that. $2 on the one and 25 cents on the other. Single entry. I mean, just absurd right there. Truly absurd. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Fauci at Marcus Pfizer. I'd rather be lucky than good. Thanks to Ship My Money DFS for providing great YouTube content. 20K up top. And then I don't know. Congrats on the win. 10K. These guys sharp as always. Thanks for all that you guys do. And then our boy EMAC. How about that? Shout out to Awesome Hall of Fame. Late to the party, but tied for first in the Super Bowl bowler and ended up 5th out of 59,000. All right. Our boy EMAC, our pal EMAC. Anyway, awesemo.com/avatar. Download it. Hit us up at Awesemo HOF and include us in that too, because we love to see the wins. All right, Adam, let's do this. Dennis Schroeder last game had 22 potential assists. He had 115 touches, dude. 115 touches in 39 minutes. If he plays similar minutes today, I just don't know how you don't get to him as much as humanly possible with Porter doubtful and Eric Gordon already ruled out.
Yeah, I mean, we have him as the highest owned guy on DraftKings. I don't see.
Should be.
Right. Like the only case I think you could make is that just from the sheer abundance of guys priced between 4K and 5K, he probably won't be the highest scorer of the group. But that argument comes into play more if you're talking about like if you just played one person per lineup. Like you can just play him plus other, $4,500 guys as well. It's just assuming he's in the starting lineup, it's extremely difficult for him to fail. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. So he's played 56 minutes with Houston now, 24% usage rate, 37.8% assist percentage. There's nothing that should get in the way of him doing whatever the hell he wants when he's on the floor. And he's still cheap. So assuming he's starting, getting back to a ton of Schroeder, I have absolutely no issue with that. I'm interested to see what the starting line.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm interested to see what the starting lineup looks like here, because you could see them go back to the Wood-Şengün pairing that they've been using recently, but you also could just get Garrison Matthews in place of Gordon. So I'm not really sure which one they'll go with. That's one thing that we'll have to find out later. But if Şengün does start, he's going to look pretty good at 4,500. If he comes off the bench, he's obviously a lot riskier.
I was thinking in this matchup, you might get Matthews, but yeah, like you said, we'll see. I do like the over on 5.5 assists for Schroeder though. Look, if he's you're banking on him playing those minutes, but if he starts and he plays those minutes, he's going to be. There's no other playmakers on this team, Adam. That's the thing. So I like that. He's also plus 850 to double. I sprinkled a little bit on that. If you're getting almost 40 minutes from him with that much of ball handling responsibility, and he did it against Phoenix last game with like 23, 8, and 9, not a double, but close. Yeah, just a good spot for Schroeder all around. I do like the overs here today. What are you doing with the rest of Houston to wrap this up before we flip it over to live before live? We'll hit on.
So to clarify something really quick in chat, somebody said who else will score more, who else would score more than Schroeder? I think Schroeder's favored over everybody individually. My point was there's like 12 guys at that price point.
Whenever it's one player against a field of like 10 plus, of course there right, like you're going to have to say that. But
right, like I'll take even money. I'll take even money on the field of every player between 4 and 5K versus Schroeder. But I would take Schroeder versus right. I'll take Schroeder versus each of them individually.
Exactly.
For the rest of Houston, Wood looks pretty good at 8,100. Not a priority, but a decent spot. You should get potentially some increased playmaking for Jayshawn Tate if Dennis Schroeder ever gives the ball up, which is a pretty big if. More playing time for Kenyon Martin Jr., I think, 3,400. He looks like one of the better, close to minimum salary value options, I think. Already mentioned Şengün if he starts. Jalen Green is kind of whatever at 4,700. I think Schroeder's the clear priority. I think Kenyon Martin Jr. is a very good point per dollar value. Wood, Green, Tate all look fine.
Okay. And somebody said that the Suns play at a much faster pace than the Clippers. No, they don't. They play at less than one possession per 48 faster than the LA Clippers. So it's really not that significant. Okay. And over the last month, they're nearly identical in pace. So I wouldn't read into that at all. Talk to me about the Clippers. We got to get out of here. And then we'll turn it over.
Yeah, this team collectively should probably get the most ownership on the slate. Reggie Jackson at 6,800 looks like one of the top options. He's averaged about a fantasy point per minute in the games he's played with Morris and without George this year. Now he gets a great matchup against Houston. He's playing huge minutes as well. It's likely that you're getting 36 plus tonight. Zubats at 4,700 looks very good. He played 31 minutes last night. Even if he were to play like 25 or 26 here, he looks very good at 4,700. Luke Kennard came back, $3,200. He played 24 minutes yesterday. He's a good value. Terrence Mann at 5,100 is a good value, likely to give you, 32 to 36 minutes in the starting lineup. Nick Batum at 4,200. He hasn't been closing games, which, is somewhat frustrating, but he's still playing 25, 26 minutes. He's around a 0.85 to 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy in a good spot. So I still like him at that salary. There is the added bonus of, if he does happen to be in the closing lineup and get to 30 to 32 minutes, he probably does really well. But even assuming he plays 25 or 26, he looks pretty good. Marcus Morris has averaged 30 minutes per game with Jackson without George. He's around 0.9 to 0.95 fantasy points per minute. Amir Coffey's 3,500. I'm not super confident in him, but he's still likely to get you 24 minutes or so. 24 minutes and 43 seconds last game. This is another team where I just think essentially everybody in the rotation is playable.
All right, we got to go. Richie Hart's two favorite players from Brooklyn, Drummond and Curry for me. Drummond and Curry for you?
Same answer. Yep.
Okay, yeah. And we got some news for Washington, but we'll let those guys handle it. Jordan, close us out. You can leave me on the screen. I told you I threw my back out. I'll let everybody see me try to stand up here. It should be interesting. All right. We'll see you back here soon. We're almost at 600 likes too. Let's get to that, man. We got to get there. 40 away. And have a great all-star break. Enjoy it. Adam and I will be back with you afterwards. And appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon. All right, ready? I'm stuck. I'm stuck like this. Cannot move at all. Completely stuck. All right, take me off the screen. I'm gonna hop out.
who lives next to a beach is not. Let's be serious. This isn't Miami. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the NBA Live Before Lock show presented by Yahoo. I'm Eric Lindquist. This is Live Before Lock. Last one we have until the All-Star break, but don't worry, we've got content coming up for that on Sunday as well as a Millie Maker NASCAR. So much stuff still going on in the DFS streets. Be sure to check out all the content that we'll have up until then. But you know what? We got to get to this 5-gamer, and the guy who's going to help us do it, you know him, at Ehrenberg DFS, my former luge partner at the Olympics. How you doing, my dude?
Former and current luge partner. Let's not get it twisted here. It's good, and we've got a interesting 5-game slate here. I do think there's some good plays. I feel pretty good about my lineups. I am max entering stuff in both FanDuel and DraftKings, which I usually try to stick to one site when I'm doing Live Before Lock, but it's the slate before the All-Star break. So yeah, so we're playing on both sites. So just like you, I'm going to be panicking to get those lineups in right before lock.
I'm playing 3 sites today.
Good for you.
I'm a disgusting human being, but DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, hi, let's do this. It's going to be, it shouldn't be that stressful. I think for the most part, I feel pretty confident about what I'm doing going forward here on each one of those. Smash that like button too as we're getting in here. Hit that subscribe button because, again, you want to watch all of our content if you have not already. But I know a lot of you guys have been subscribers for a long time. We got to get over 75K though, and the notification bell helps you know exactly when that all goes live. So do all of those things. Greg, question I always ask you at the start of these shows: what piece of news are you waiting on that's going to dictate what you do with your lineups the most?
Nothing really for today. I mean, we've got, Reggie Bullock is questionable. Who gives a shit? Like, I'm not sitting here going like, oh no,
Blue
I can't upload my
green
lineup.
Jacket, who gives a shit?
Yeah, what am I? I'm sitting here. I don't care about Reggie Bullock, and he's the only guy who's listed as questionable right now. So nothing. I guess unforeseen news. Other than that, I think we're clear.
Unforeseen news. You just throwing that out into the world. Don't do that. Bad Greg. Very bad Greg. But I'm primarily playing the most volume that I have going on FanDuel here. So I'm focused a little bit more in those streets. Of course, it's before the All-Star break, so I'm still playing on DraftKings and our sponsor, Yahoo. Let's get to it, shall we? On the top end of DraftKings, because, again, I know a lot of you are playing there, but I'll list off all the reasons you should still be over at Yahoo. We have Dennis Schroeder, and this guy yesterday was the late swap du jour. I talked about it on the PGA Live Before Lock show, of all things, how much Şengün and Schroeder I had. That worked out well. I didn't have some of the other pieces, but hey, that was really fun. How do you view Dennis Schroeder on this slate at 4,300 over on FanDuel, at 4,400 over on DraftKings?
Yeah, so I tend to think he's going to be more popular than what our current ownership projections are, because at least as of right now, and I'm going to refresh to make sure nothing's changed in the last few minutes. So last run of ownership, he is projected for 46% ownership on DK. On FanDuel, he's projected for 52% ownership. There's some value on this slate, but there's not a massive amount of value. I think he's by far the top value play. Like, he's not an 100% play for me, but I have him like 80% of my lineup, which is well above where that, mid 40% number we have. It's rare that somebody's projected for 46% ownership, and I would think of them as under-owned. But I think that's the case at 46% for Schroeder on DK and even 52% on FanDuel.
If he's going to stay under 50%, I'm just going to play 100% of him today and move on with my life. I got to literally as much as I humanly possibly could yesterday. I didn't have all the roster spots available. I got to like 31%. He was like 1%. This is different. Like, obviously people know that the minutes could be there. It kind of came out of nowhere, this start right off the bat. And I'm inclined to say that I just want to play every single share that I possibly can. We have currently projected for him 35 minutes, 30 fantasy points. He was adding counting stats. Jalen Green is not a guy who's going to go out and rack up assists and play make. He's not a guy who's going to be getting an irrational amount of boards. Dennis Schroeder, after giving up a contract with the Lakers that is still a horror story when you think about it, going to the Celtics, it didn't work out. He's playing for some serious money, and I think you saw that against Phoenix yesterday, and now we've got Houston here. He's getting an opportunity to just kind of not showcase what he can do. I think most people know what he can do. He can just be a guy for you off the bench on a meaningful team here. But, if he's going to just get meaningless stats in Houston, we might as well benefit from it. I'm going to play 100% as long as he stays underneath 50%. I think that's pretty much a stand I'm willing to take here on this slate, and I'll figure out the rest of the roster spots. Kyle Lowry's a guy that matters a lot over on FanDuel. Slate 5,600 here, but you do get Jimmy Butler in there. I still don't care. I think that's still a really nice piece of chalk. And looking at the top of the DraftKings board, Reggie Jackson is the huge piece there. 6,800 for him. He's 6,700 on FanDuel. I'm more inclined to just jam a bunch of Reggie Jackson over Kyle Lowry here, regardless. These Clippers against Houston on the other side, this is just such a good game environment. Houston #1 in pace. I know it comes out 2 hours after lock and whatever else, but I am basically late stacking the game by default, not, intentionally. It's just I like all the players from it. What are you doing with a popular Reggie Jackson today?
Yeah, I love him. And by the way, I don't have an issue with going 100% Dennis Schroeder. It's actually something I've waffled back and forth with. Right now, just reference, like I said, I have him around 80% on FanDuel and DK. One of the only reasons I opted to not lock him in right now, and maybe it's something I'll decide to do. Maybe it could be something you talk me into in the next 45 minutes, to be honest, because it is something I strongly considered earlier. But there's a lot of guard plays I like. On FanDuel, you mentioned Kyle Lowry, brought his name up. I love Reggie Jackson too, because you just look at the situation for the Los Angeles Clippers right now. #1, really positive matchup against the Houston Rockets. The other thing to consider also is the Clippers are so short on depth. And that's one of the reasons they went out and they traded for Norman Powell at the trade deadline. And I thought he was a really nice acquisition for them. What happens? He plays, 2.5 games for them, breaks his foot and is out for the majority of the rest of the season. Yep. So now look at these numbers for Reggie Jackson in recent games. It's twofold: crazy amounts of playing time and crazy high usage rates in some of these games also. So last 3 games, Reggie Jackson's played 40 minutes, 38 minutes. 38 minutes, by the way, was in a blowout, or else he would have played more. Then last game plays 37 minutes and got into some foul trouble. So there's massive upside here in Reggie Jackson. Also, his usage in those games, 29%, 25%, 33%. And then, like I said at the top too, really positive matchup against the Houston Rockets. So I think Reggie Jackson, another really strong chalk play. Let's see, where am I at on him relative to the field? He's in about half my lineups right now on FanDuel and DK. So a little bit over the field right now. And once again, the only reason I'm not 100% on Dennis Schroeder right now is because there are these other guard plays that I also think are really strong.
I'm playing like 90% Reggie Jackson on FanDuel, 6,700 for him there, 6,800 on DK. Where you're rostering 8 guys, we can kind of mix it up here and there. But again, I'm willing to embrace that. Reggie Jackson, 7 for 26 from the floor against Phoenix. Houston is not Phoenix. I'm just throwing that out there. 0 for 8 from 3. That was sad because I've been kind of riding the Reggie Jackson prop train over on a couple of different sites where you can do such things. Not our sponsor, Yahoo, but Reggie Jackson made a lot of sense in all of these spots for the last couple of days. I've just been heavily invested in him. As you said, it's a minutes thing too. You look at what else is around him. And Terrence Mann has been playing some slight backup point guard here for this team in minutes that he's off the floor there. And he's been serviceable in that role. But Reggie Jackson is playing all the minutes he can handle. It's an 11-point spread. You could talk about blowout here. Every other game is supposed to be competitive except for this one. But I don't think it matters. You talked about the blowout game against Golden State. They ran them out of the gym, still played 37 minutes. So it's a guy that just give me 36, 37 minutes of him, and I'll just let everybody else try to figure out where else they want to go here. Oh, let's figure that out here while we're at it. I'm playing a lot of Schroeder and Reggie Jackson and then figuring out and getting a little bit different elsewhere. We got some other popular guards, Luke Kennard, Seth Curry, coming off of some really great games here where he's been involved in a multitude of ways here. It's nice to see him put up a sub 20% usage game there and create so many times here for these guys. 6 and 5 assists now in his starts now with Brooklyn, looking really nice as a playmaker for this team. And Patty Mills not as involved as you would hope if you were taking those shots the last couple slates. But who else in this popular range of guard are you getting to the most?
Yeah, so let's talk about Seth Curry, because I do view him very differently on FanDuel and DraftKings, and I have about a similar projection to him on both sites, but I get to him more on DK than FanDuel, and it's that 500 salary difference on a slate where we're kind of short for a whole bunch of good points per dollar plays. It is so much easier for me to get to Seth Curry when he's shooting guard and small forward eligibility on DK at 5,500 than versus on FanDuel, where he's 6,000 and his point guard shooting guard eligibility, because we've already talked about how many good point guard plays there are on the slate. So I'm not finding that many roster spots to fit in Seth Curry. And like I said, I have him a very similar projection for him across DK and FanDuel, but I have like 3x the exposure to him on DK that I do to FanDuel. So when you're talking about Seth Curry, do you like him a lot on both sites, or are you also leaning more towards him on DK? I think it's that small forward eligibility that really changes it for me. Yeah,
well, he's got shooting guard eligibility on FanDuel, so at least you can go back and forth a little bit there. $6K, it's not that cost prohibitive. Obviously, it's a $500 difference between the floors, so from site to site, I don't think it changes as much. What's nice is he is sub 20% there on the FanDuel slate. I think that comes in handy, but I'm more inclined with my other guard spots because I'm saving money with Schroeder everywhere, 4,300. And then, sprinkling in, I'm below the field on Kyle Lowry on FanDuel, which does not feel comfortable, but I'm just massively over on Reggie Jackson. I'm getting to a little bit of Luka Doncic. I find him unavoidable for the FanDuel slate at 11-3. But LaMelo Ball is a guy that I also want to be sprinkling in. He's sub 9K over on FanDuel and somehow isn't more than 20%, which speaks to how good the value is and how cheap these other guys are. So if I'm trying to find some kind of point of deviation, I'm not willing to just like pull the trigger extremely high on Seth Curry because I don't want to give up LaMelo Ball in this spot. I know it's a tough it's a tough home game against Miami. Miami defensively can do a lot of things here for this team, but I get a sub 9K LaMelo Ball, 1.3 FanDuel points per minute, a little bit above that on the season. I'm willing to go that direction a little bit more. And Seth Curry, just another guy that I don't need to play as much in the mid-range, considering how much Reggie Jackson I'm getting to.
Yeah, for like a DK, I'm getting to him a whole bunch. FanDuel, I'm just kind of close with the field on Seth Curry. I find the small forward eligibility makes a whole difference to me on DK because there's so many guards that I want to play on this slate, and he just doesn't have that forward eligibility on FanDuel.
Totally. Again, he doesn't. The forward is gigantically different. There's no question about that. Shooting guard, small forward, that's the best eligibility you can possibly have on DraftKings. I think it's something that Josh Engelman has said for a long time, where you can play him in 5 roster spots. You can intertwine him between guard forward. There's more places that he can land into lineups. Oh, and he's a phenomenal play. 5,500 on the DraftKings slate, where he's racking up assists out of the middle of nowhere. Now it's nice to see here until, of course, you get Ben Simmons out there, and we will have no idea what to do with this basketball team. But I'm looking at the rest of these Clippers as a lot of pieces that I'm sprinkling into lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel. Terrence Mann. I brought up Luke Kennard. That's a guy that I'm uncomfortable with, but he's 3,200 on DraftKings, all the way down at the bottom. So at 24 minutes, I do get worried because these minutes have been fluctuating in a very strange way for the Clippers, like they always have. Like if it isn't Reggie Jackson, who is pretty secure, there's not really a true backup point guard there. Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard. Terrence Mann at least has been starting there. Nicholas Batum and Robert Covington. I don't really know what's going on with those type of minutes here as well. Is there some kind of a Clipper that you're landing on more that are amongst these popular guards? Kennard, Terrence Mann, Nicholas Batum at the forward spot. Anybody from the Clipper side that you're getting to quite a bit?
Yeah, so it's still Kennard. And then once again, this is more so on DK than it is on FanDuel because he's 4,400 on FanDuel. He's 3,200 on DK. And I mean, it's hard to be totally confident in these Clippers players' minutes, but at least for the Luke Kennard situation, we have a reason we could point to as to why the minutes have fluctuated. So he plays 28 against Dallas, then he plays another game against Dallas and plays 19. And then you say like, okay, why would he play such different minutes against the same team? It's the same matchup. Why would they run different rotations? He got hurt in that game. He sprained his ankle, wasn't able to finish the game. I assume that had that not happened, he would have played the same minutes. Then he follows that game up against the Phoenix Suns, plays 24. Solid fantasy outing, 24.5 DraftKings points. If we're going to be able to get over 20 from him, and I have him projected for right around 22 today, that's a pretty good outcome on a DK slate, especially when it's a condensed slate. We only have 5 games and not a massive amount of value. So Luke Kennard is one of my favorite value plays on DK. I don't really see a whole lot of reason to have to play him at 44 on FanDuel though.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm definitely not playing him over on FanDuel. I'm actually below the field on DraftKings as well. I don't really find a need to have to roster him today. Again, I'm playing Schroeder very heavily, and it's a guy that I'm more inclined to pay the extra money, and it sounds weird, but Terrence Mann, 5,100. We've seen some fantastic upside from him in some of these previous games, contributing in a number of factors. He had put up back-to-back 20-point games before he was just completely uninvolved against Phoenix. Well, whenever you get matched up alongside Mikal Bridges, I think that's going to happen to a lot of people. I would call him the best individual defender in the league. There aren't many people that I factor in individual defense, almost nobody, but Mikal Bridges put the absolute clamps on him in that game. It was pretty incredible to watch. He's a incredible individual defender. So I'm going to write it off and go back to Terrence Mann at 5,100, because if he had kept the pace of what he had put up in those 2 previous starts, I think you would still see, another huge increase to around 5,500 or so. So I think he's underpriced. against the Houston team in this matchup. And I'm willing to take the 30 plus minutes I get from him. Feels a little bit more secure. Other guards that we can really talk about, Luka Doncic, I guess on the top end is really an important talking point. I said on FanDuel, I'm a little bit lower to him. On DraftKings, he's just kind of falling into around the field as well. 24% of lineups, he's at 24.3%. Are you finding yourself paying up for him as truly the only other pay up option besides LaMelo Ball on this slate?
Yeah, I do like Luka. I mean, I like all three of the pay up options. Luka, Giannis, Embiid. The one I'm getting to the least is Embiid, but it's just because he only has center eligibility. I have all three of them projected fairly similarly. And then just the fact that we could play Luka in multiple positions. We could play Giannis in multiple positions. Embiid only center eligible. That makes him really restrictive for me on FanDuel. So I'm underweight to him there. But yeah, I'm still getting to all three of them. But Luka and Giannis, like 1A, 1B for me. And then it's Embiid after those two. And once again, it's not a knock on my projection I have for them. It's really just because of positions.
Yeah, I think the Sixers actually are pretty competitive here in this spot, and Joel Embiid could be a big reason why. But as you said, 30% rostership existing there. I like Giannis the most, I think, out of all the spend ups because you're getting him at the lowest rostership. And the guy can put up 80 in 32 minutes. Like that's a legitimate thing that he can do. Of course, Embiid can as well, but you brought up the exact reason. He's center only. Luka Doncic, point guard only. Having the flexibility to play Giannis at a forward position matters a lot, I think, on this slate where I find the guard value in Reggie Jackson and Dennis Schroeder too good to pass up. If Luka puts up 75 or 80 and completely burns me on FanDuel, such is life. But I feel pretty confident in playing those guys in bulk, letting the math kind of dictate where I'm going. And Giannis Antetokounmpo just really makes sense as the guy I want to get to the most. Over on FanDuel, they're all pretty flat, right around 30, 33%, every single guy on this slate. Luka's carrying the most ownership. So as a result, I'm just going to be a little bit below it. Any other guards from that you really want to talk on? We've got a couple super chats to keep up on, but so the floor is yours. Any other guard that you might be getting to from a tournament perspective more than the field?
I think it's a good spot to go back to Patty Mills, and he's sucked the last couple games, and he was really popular a couple slates ago. But with that in mind, he's not going to keep shooting this poorly from the field. The last few games from Patty Mills, the minutes have been there, but he shot 3 of 11 from the field, 3 of 11 and 2 of 13. And the usage has also been fairly low. The reason he's gotten that many shots up is because he's playing a ton of minutes. He's averaging mid-30s minutes per game. I tend to think if Patty Mills starts making shots at his career norms, we're going to see that usage rate kind of come up to around 20%, because then I think Patty Mills feels a little empowered. He's like, hey, I have this opportunity. I'm actually making my shots today. I'm going to take more of them. And
the empowered narrative from Greg Ehrenberg. I like it.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying, though. His usage has been low and he's not making shots. It's just funny
when you put it that way.
Yeah. If the shots go in, he's going to take more of them. And I think that all the reasons that we liked Patty Mills on previous slates, we shouldn't feel otherwise just because he didn't make his shots in those games. The opportunity was there. He just sucked. He didn't cash in on those opportunities. I tend to think he's going to be able to do that more going forward. And right now he's only projected for 13% ownership on DK. On FanDuel, he's a little more expensive at 5,500, but still I'm overweight to the 9% number. And, you know, that slate, what was it, 3 slates ago, he was like 40 or 30% on, I forget the exact number. But that was also on a full slate. So now we're getting him at a fraction of the ownership on a smaller slate. And I just think it's a good bounce back spot. I'm not changing my evaluation of him too much, just based on things that, you know, are kind of random.
Seth Curry kind of being added to the fray here, and Cameron Thomas, I mean, he just went nuclear in that fourth quarter. That was so much fun to watch. But Patty Mills just not creating a lot of assists here for this team. 5,100. Yeah, 3 points. He could just get there in terms of, he could go 5 for 10 from 3, and you could be looking at some massive leverage there up against Seth Curry. But 5,500, I mean, you said you're going to still play Seth Curry. I mean, are you playing double the field on Patty Mills, triple the field? Like how does he really compare? I mean, you have $400 more to Seth Curry. And I mean, I feel as though I want to see Patrick Mills just more involved in the offense altogether to pay off 5,100.
All right. So I assume nothing else is going to change. So I just uploaded my lineups on FanDuel and DK. So now I'll have like a pretty good barometer. I have them projected really, really similarly. Let me sort the Nets first.
I have them chasms apart. I have them 7 fantasy points apart. And it's really just all to do with the perspective ability that he has. Seth Curry is just creating opportunities for other guys, whereas Patty Mills is not. He's sitting in a corner a lot.
I have Seth Curry projected for about half more of a fantasy point than Patty Mills. And once again, it's not based on the box scores, because if I'm just looking at what they've done recently, then yeah, I would come to that conclusion. It's really more that I think Mills is going to make more of a shots going forward. And Seth Curry is really popular. So I think it's a good leverage play, because every time Patty Mills takes a shot, every time Patty Mills generates an assist, it's an opportunity that Seth Curry loses out on. So on FanDuel, I'm overweight to Patty Mills. I'm underweight to Seth Curry. On DK, I am even with the field on Seth Curry and about double the field on Patty Mills.
I have a weird guy that I want to talk about because I just think he's going way underrepresented on this slate. And Eric Gordon being out, KPJ being out. What do you think about Josh Christopher? Because I think there's an opportunity if this game becomes 10, 15 points in the third quarter or so. Josh Christopher, 3,200, will go out and absolutely chuck in this spot. I think he's the cheaper guy that I want to be paying down for. If Luke Kennard is going to garner so much attention, I think Josh Christopher, I mean, I can embrace the exact same minutes volatility for a guy that is on a worse offense, can put up numbers over 20% usage in a number of spots throughout February. Obviously, it's not showing up in the box score, but he got up to 29 minutes against the Spurs, put up over 40 fantasy points. I think at 3,200, he's getting really slept on, sub 5%. What do you think about him as my last guard I want to throw out there?
Didn't project him for very many minutes. So last game against, and this was the last game against the Suns, a fairly similar situation to this game. Actually, arguably a little. Now we'll just say it's the same, right? Because there's no the last game there was no Christian Wood. Christian Wood is back, but Eric Gordon's out. So maybe a little more opportunity for Josh Christopher. I only gave him 16 minutes though, because the last two games he played 11 minutes and 9 minutes. It's hard for me to think that all of Eric Gordon's minutes go directly to Josh Christopher. I think a lot of them are going to go to Schroeder. We also have to give some minutes to Christian Wood, who didn't play any last night. I think Jayshawn Tate's going to pick up minutes. Actually, if I had to roster one guy who I think is kind of that cheap punt type play on Houston, it would be KJ Martin for me. I have a few shares
I like him
of
too, by the way.
Yeah. But I just didn't give Christopher very many minutes.
Okay, that's fair. For me, it's a back-to-back where you can maybe see a little bit more minutes volatility, especially for a team going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere because they're not bad boys for life. So Josh Christopher is somebody at 3,200 I'm willing to kind of take some shots on. And Jordan Klein, don't judge me for that. It is what I do. You know that I do this. Let's get these super chats taken care of here. Wild ass takes. That's not that wild. He's 3,200. What the opportunity cost on 3,200 is not that high, especially when Luke Kennard is getting what is it? 10 times the ownership just about. So I'm willing to take Josh Christopher, who is a willing participant in the shooting department from time to time. So 3,200, that's not that crazy of a take. If he was like 4K, yeah, I probably wouldn't be going that direction. Teddy Wayman, best value play and pay up option playing on FanDuel. Best value play, Dennis Schroeder. Best pay up option, Giannis for me. Greg, what say you for FanDuel?
Yeah, the best pay up, I've Giannis and Luka super, super close, but the best value play is clearly Dennis Schroeder, and then best pay up options, either Luka or Giannis. I'll say Giannis because there is more value at guard and it's a little easier to spend up at the forward position. What if we're going to give him a contrarian value play on FanDuel? I'm not saying Josh Christopher is like the guy that, oh my God, you need to play in 30%, 40% of your lineups. I'm just saying that he's somebody that I'm getting to well above 3 or 4%. If I'm going for a contrarian value option on FanDuel, let me look at my lineups here. I have, you're going to like this one. I mean, he's sub 20%. So there's that. Isaiah Hartenstein. I think that there's an opportunity against Houston for everybody to get there if this game gets wonky in any kind of a department. Isaiah Hartenstein is a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy. He's under 4K on FanDuel, gives you a different look in your lineups. I'm just really heavy on that game altogether. What say you, Greg? I have Hartenstein in 25.5% of my lineups right now on FanDuel, so I don't have an issue with that. I'm going to look sub 10% though, just to be a little bit more contrarian than you. And I will, I'll go with, I've got a couple guys really close here that I think are worth flyers on. One is Serge Ibaka. The other is Jackson Hayes. But Ibaka, even last game with players back for Milwaukee, Ibaka ended up playing 24 minutes. He didn't do that much with them. He ended up scoring 15.5 fantasy points. But that aside, if we could get mid-20s minutes out of Serge Ibaka at only 4,100, basically with no ownership going to him, I think that's somebody to look at on a 5-game slate. Another thing to consider also, matchup against Philadelphia 76ers. You're going up against Joel Embiid. They might need to get more size on the court, which could mean a couple more minutes for Ibaka. So he's somebody who at 8% projected ownership right now, I'm about double the field on.
Orion, FanDuel GPP, $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Going heavy stars and scrubs. That's fun. Best sub, 3,800 play. My highest owned out of everybody, 3,800 or below, is KJ Martin. I have 27% of him. 3,800. He's currently 11.2%. That's actually more of a value play than Isaiah Hartenstein, I guess. I could have grouped it that way. What do you think about KJ Martin or anybody else 3,800 or below you like the most?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with KJ Martin. Also, we were just talking about that before. You brought up Josh Christopher when we're talking about DK. And I said KJ Martin is the flyer play that I prefer from the Houston Rockets. So I don't have any issue with that at all. I'll agree with you and say KJ Martin is somebody I have in my lineups.
I love when you agree with me, partner. Smelzer, how many points are you in your highest projected lineup? I don't look at those things. If you want, you can go in with no randomness, go into Cruncher, and you can get the projections that we have here at Awesemo and plug in exactly what that lineup would be. I have a bunch of randomness and stuff assigned to different players based on standard deviation. So we're not going to go through all of that. I can't just refresh or go blank slate. But if you have the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, go in without randomness, crunch just and see what that number ends up being. I will say currently in these sorted lineups on FanDuel, what the hell was that? Oh my God, my golf clubs just fell while we were on stream. I apologize. That scared the crap out of me. It shook.
I don't even know what happened because the Zoom dropped for me. So whatever happened, your golf clubs fell. Zoom dropped for me. All chaos. Maybe it was an earthquake. Who knows? Everything. I'm gonna stop video. We're gonna move this quick. Why don't you talk to me about your highest projected lineup for today? Sure. Oh boy, Eric. What is Eric really private? He doesn't want anybody to see his golf clubs, so he has to turn his video off for this. I don't buy. There's something else going on here. I don't buy whatever kind of shady business this is. Once again, this is why Eric never gets to be the bottom man on the sled. But anyway, my highest projected lineups, I'll go on DK and FanDuel because I'm not really sure which one was specified in the question. But for DK, the lineup I've projected for the most fantasy points is 284.26. On FanDuel, let me sort it by projected score. My highest projected lineup on FanDuel comes out at 321.72.
Oh, beautiful. Look at you being helpful. Patrick Gazer, for a like on this video, answer this question. Are you guys talking prize picks after lock? Well, thank you for the like now. We're not. We're talking Yahoo, but I will give you a prop from OddsShopper because that's the kind of individual that I am. So there, you know what? I've gotten so good at being able to like navigate the sponsor thing. Haven't screwed it up in a while, but you know, we got to give them the attention that they deserve. I'm also taking a very slow amount of time reading everybody's name in these super chats. I love when I see Bill W, $5, because I can say that one pretty easily. If you had 1.2K left, would you pay up for Curry, Zubats, Kennard, or James Johnson? 1.2K left. That's not enough.
So this is 1.2K left. I'm trying to. What's the significance of it? Does he mean 5.2 maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, no, but
5.23.
I mean,
I would assume.
Well, either way, it's of these guys, it's Seth Curry.
I have pants on. I have Duke pajamas. I didn't think anybody wanted to see my Duke pajamas on.
Is that why you turned your camera off?
Yeah, because I didn't want people to like look at me as I'm in my pajamas living my life. Again, that's one of the beauties of working at home here. It's not really fair that I have to like subject myself. I'm not a piece of meat to be fawned over. Okay.
Disagree. Eric, you think people are here to listen to us talk about DFS and joke around? They're here to look at us. And this is a cam to our viewers. This is nothing more than a cam show. This is a cam show.
Yeah, no, I see why people hate me. Bill W, thank you so much for the super chat. But if you want to give us the correct number, we can absolutely fire that up for you. Let's talk.
Wait. Wait.
Lots of things.
I understood. Somebody in YouTube chat just qualified. He has 1.2K left. Which one of those guys should he upgrade?
Oh, got it.
Okay. So he is $1,200 extra in his lineup between Curry, Zubats, Kennard, or James Johnson.
Play Curry.
No. Which one is he going to? So he has these guys in his lineup. but he has $1,200 spare salary. Who should he pay? Who should he pay up for? Which guy should he upgrade with the extra salary?
Kennard.
Yeah. Actually, for me, it's James Johnson. I have Kennard project for more fantasy points than James Johnson. I have James Johnson right now in about half the amount of lineups that I do with Kennard. I don't think James Johnson starts again. I have to change my lineup so he ends up starting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's 3,600. He started yesterday. He was a guy that I wanted everybody to play. That went well. You know what else didn't? Yesterday should have been incredible. Schroeder. Şengün. I love that man so much. Rinpak, that is Rinpak's boy. I'm not going to steal him from him. Let's do this. We're going to go into hyperdrive mode so I can get to forward. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy for the NBA season to bring you great offers. 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you deposit $10 or more, play in any paid contest, and boom, tough actin' inactive. You get every single thing we offer behind the paywall. Of course, NFL's over, sad face. But you know what? We have NBA going, NHL. That's going to be what gets us through this all-star break. If you guys are checking out great content, the NHL guys are incredible here. We have NASCAR. We've got the Millie Maker coming up for that. We have so many great things where you get Awesemo Plus. You get all of that just by depositing $10 plus over on Yahoo. Oh, and speaking of NASCAR, check this out. Daytona is right around the corner, and we're offering $70 for a full year of Awesemo Plus NASCAR because you access to our driver projections, ownership projections, top drivers tool, gives you the edge that you need in NASCAR DFS. Use promo code GREENFLAG at checkout, or simply check out the link in the description of the video below. This offer is valid through February 20th. Check it out. Stop guessing, start winning, and join us here at Awesemo Plus today. Thank you so much for our sponsor, Yahoo. I just want to say that again because we're very excited to talk about their product after lock. How'd I do?
Yeah, I don't know why you felt the need to go so quick. You probably saved yourself, 30 seconds? Guys, sign up for Yahoo. Use the link in the description box below. You get yourself a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Bada bing, bada boom. You don't have to read the entire... Listen, Joey Corman writes these ridiculous ad reads and he cheats the games we play. You don't need to hit on every single word there.
All right, Arcathel's $1.99. Ingram and Christopher or Man and Curry DK. Well, what a great segue to the forward spot, but we'll start with that one. Ingram and Christopher or Man and Curry DK GPP.
That is Man and Curry for me.
That is Man and Curry for me as well, as much as I like Ingram and Christopher, because I do like both of them. I like Man and Curry way more. Let's keep it rocking, my friend. Again, if you're playing multiple lineups, go ahead and play some Josh Christopher and get weird like me. I'm weird. Let's go to the forward spot. I want to talk some Giannis Antetokounmpo because FanDuel 11.5. We both talked about him being our priority spend up here. How much are you getting to him on this slate?
He's in about 30% of my lineups. Once again, it's something where I am definitely spread out. Like I don't have one guy that's well above the other ones in terms of a pay up option. Giannis and Luka, 1A, 1B for me. Embiid, who I have projected pretty much just as well as them, but he only has center eligibility, which makes it a little more restrictive for me to get to. There's a bunch of center options I like as well. So I don't have one guy where it's like, I need to pay up for this one player. So I'm spread out. It seems that you really do like Giannis though. So is he like in 50% of your lineups or something like that?
42% on FanDuel. And then I'm a little bit below on Luka and Embiid. I just think that this is a slate. Yeah, they all carry massive, massive upside. And I'm playing a lot of Schroeder. So that's one value piece that's taking care of itself for me. But I think this mid-range of center, looking at Drummond and Valanciunas specifically on FanDuel, I think looking at the point guard plays that I prefer, Reggie Jackson, Dennis Schroeder, a lot of those guys, I think that it's just so laden with value in some of these places that I'm just finding myself getting to more Giannis organically because you look at the forward spot and I just don't find the value as intriguing here up and down the entire position. It's just Kyle Kuzma on FanDuel and that's it. 7,700, he's kind of a mid-range option. And I know that this is a guy that has just been haunting your dreams here lately, but 7,700 is just a broken tag, has been for a while on FanDuel, but on DraftKings at 9K, are you going back to this guy again, or are you going to continue to shy away?
So you're asking about Kyle Kuzma, correct?
Yes, I jumped over to Giannis. Well, because I assumed we both liked Giannis, and I don't really know what else there is to say about a guy who averages 1.7 fantasy points per minute and is just a phenomenal option if you can afford him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been pretty consistent with Kuzma as of late, which is where that I feel that everything I said earlier in the season about him is incorrect. I think he's much better than I gave him credit for. Yeah, but I just haven't wanted to pay the kind of prices that he's been on. I've preferred other options, and it's been fine on recent slates. Like if you have exposure to Kyle Kuzma at 9K, I don't have an issue with it. I just prefer other guys. I have Kuzma in 6% of my lineups on DK right now. He's projected for... Let's see. He's projected for 20% ownership. There's been a lot of slates lately where I'm about half the field on Kuzma. Totally different on FanDuel where he's 7,700. He makes it into more of my lineups over there. I've right around 40% on Kuzma. It's about even with the field. But 9K on DK, I think here's kind of the question we're asking ourselves. Would you rather roster Jimmy Butler at 8,800 or Kyle Kuzma at 9,000 with similar position eligibility? And the answer for me is Jimmy Butler. I have Jimmy Butler projected for more fantasy points. And then also right now, if you look at the current ownership projections, we Butler a little bit higher, 30% for him versus 20% for Kuzma. But I think Jimmy Butler is a much better player than Kuzma. I think he's a better fantasy producer. And that's where my lean is amongst those two.
Okay. I no problem with that whatsoever. On DraftKings, yeah, Jimmy Butler is underpriced. Also, 600 entries left in the Thursday night baller, 50K prize pool, 10K to first. I love seeing 5-figure payouts over at Yahoo. If you do as well, $12. Let's fill that thing up in the next 17 minutes. So check that out. Thank you so much for all the $1 super chats. My Lord, you guys are great. We're here. This is basically the weekend.
Here's what you have to do. Every time you get a $1 super chat, though, you have to lift your leg up and show some PJs. Yeah, there it is. That's what the people. That's what the people.
I've got this.
Careful. No further. That's what the people are here for.
I got the string right there.
It doesn't look appropriate.
You spin me.
Save that for the slide. Save it for the slide.
All right, let's keep it going. Bill W, $2. Kennard to KCP or Johnson to who? 1.2K left.
Okay. So we're on to this. So James Johnson is 3,600. So now the question is, who at 4,800 would I want to pay for? So, all right. I assume he already is Dennis Schroeder in that price range. I like Nick Batum more than James Johnson personally. That would be one option. If he already had Zubats in the lineup. I remember that before.
Yes.
Let's see. What were the other ones? Kennard to KCP. Well, you could go from James Johnson to KCP also, depending on what position you're playing him at. So I would say either you want to go to either KCP or Batum there, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, all right. I could tell you were paying attention. I could see you really did the math and you found out the play that you liked as well. I could tell.
I figured out my guy, DFS. Why not roster some DFS in your life? Dorian Finney-Smith, 4,600. If you're going to get off of that, again, I can't look at the entire ensemble of the lineup. KCP is great. He's going to be the most popular of them. But if you're going to get different and you're going to get off James Johnson, which is what you recommended, I would go to Dorian Finney-Smith, even though I don't want to. That's what I would do.
Let's see. Where do I have Dorian Finney-Smith? I have KCP projected for one more fantasy point than him. Not a massive deal. Also, what's the difference in ownership between them? DFS is projected for 10% ownership. KCP is at 19. It's still KCP for me.
Chris Greenmeyer, so nice that you benefited. I won on Prize Picks. It was so much fun. I had a blast. Bill W, hopefully we helped with your answer a little bit there. Jake Lindland, DKGPP. Where did it go? 8K for guard and forward left. Already have Schroeder. We need 8K for a guard and a forward. Oh man, that's a tough deal to just kind of like throw them out there. But I suppose we can just kind of look at this 4K range. We both like Batum. No way that I'm not playing Batum today. So he's 4,200 and then 3,800. You could take. There's really nobody at forward there so we're looking at guard 3,800 or below.
These questions get so complicated to do in our head where we're trying to figure out the exact amount of salary to fill people's lineups in. And the other thing too is because I'm so OCD, I think about these the entire night. I remember the salaries. I think of the players all day. These $2 super chats, I lose sleep over them. I think about them all night in the different possible iterations. So we already have Schroeder, 8K left for a forward and a guard.
Jeremy Savage. I'll get the left leg. Oh, yeah. You like that? You like that?
No, they don't. All right, 8K. He needs a forward and a guard for 8K. I'll sort by my projections and try to. Do we have any other super chats that you can read off while I try to figure this out?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. OCD. No, we don't. That's literally we're caught up. We are on this question. You know what I'm going to do while you do that is I'm going to just put my lineups in a little bit early because I don't expect we're going to get a whole lot of other news, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't want to jinx it. 10 Buckaroos, Jordan Lockhart, just because. I'll do this for the next 10 minutes.
All right, so if Luke Kennard is one of the spots at 32, then I've got 48 for the other spot. So Luke, okay, we already have Dennis Schroeder. Zubac is... All right, so it is Luke Kennard and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for me.
All right, beautiful. Bill W, thank you for taking your time. You guys, great. We have our moments. I was literally going to do the beat drop where I started.
Yeah, we know that Eric's not going to do the math. Those questions, Eric just totally tunes out. Has no interest in answering them.
Full with the beat drop. There it is. We got it caught up. Forward, keep it going here. It's a 5-gamer. You guys should have your lineups in already. I'm basically talking to myself as well. More forwards to talk about, man.
We got another super chat, by the way.
God. Eddie Wayman, Bridges or Kuzma on FanDuel? You guys are the best. Bridges or Kuzma for you on FanDuel? Kuzma is 7,700. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, it is Kuzma for me. The only forwards I've projected for, or the only power forwards I've projected for more fantasy points than Kuzma are Adebayo and Giannis. The only small forwards I've projected for more fantasy points are Butler and Giannis.
Stop your cringe. Oh, you have to be the worst. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm literally happy to be the worst thing you've seen all day because you're still here. You still show up.
You don't know that for sure. He might have just turned it off.
He might have just turned it off.
Yeah, he might have unplugged his internet.
Mirage Ratini, would you do Man or Mills? That's a very straightforward question. I don't like know a nice dinner first.
Yeah, I don't know if straightforward is the right phrasing there, but would you rather do Man or Mills?
I mean, I don't know. Terrence Mann
he's younger.
He's younger. Yeah, it'd be a new hot thing that you could be hanging out with. Patty Mills, though, he's an Aussie. You get the accent. Whoo, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not big on the Australian accent. Terrence Mann.
Okay, that's fair. Let's keep it going. Forward. Marcus Morris. He's going way underrepresented on FanDuel, 6,100. I said I like some of these mid-range guys. There's not a ton of value. I'm playing way less KCP than the field. 26.8% there for him. I get it. He's been pretty decent here of late. Put up a massive fantasy point game. His projections around 25, and I just don't find that to be something I really need to be landing on this slate. 4,200, playing enough value down there a little bit further. Amir Coffey, somebody that I would much prefer at like half the ownership to him, at 3,900. So I'm happy to be going there. Is there anybody like for a forward perspective that you're just getting to a lot more than the field?
A lot more than the field.
Or undercutting like I am with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Yeah. Well, first, let me refresh ownership because we hadn't had. Okay, so last one, yeah.
And I'll touch on this while we're talking about Washington because we had news.
Oh, we got injury news, by the way.
Okay, Josh Green is starting. Yeah, that matters.
It's funny. I said I didn't care about Reggie Bullock, and I kind of don't care about Reggie Bullock. But with that said, this is a small slate, and Josh Green starting actually kind of is going to matter. Like I'm going to want to get to some exposure to Josh Green now. Yeah,
he played 20 minutes there against Miami in that win. It wasn't crazy, but he was decent enough. I feel like I watched a little bit of that game, and he was somebody that was cheaper on FanDuel. I guess he's been kind of hanging around 3,800. It was DK. What was his?
Oh, never mind. I'm not going to end up playing him.
He was the min before.
Yeah, he's not min anymore.
He's not the min. Yeah, that's a bummer. He was 3K that slate, so I talked about him there. Yeah, I'm not going to get too much of him here. He's just not going to play as many minutes as what you would hope. I'm much more inclined to take shots in that game environment in the late night hammer where the game could get wonky. You have an opportunity for KJ Martin, Luke Kennard, if you want to take that shot, but he's more popular than I would like. 3,200, a lot of those guys that you could be going to.
Does this benefit anybody else from Dallas, though? Because, I mean, the Josh Green one, to me, he's going to pick up a lot of Reggie Bullock's minutes, but even assuming Josh Green plays 20 minutes, he's not a good fantasy producer that I end up projecting him for around 15 fantasy points. But is there a trickle down effect where there's anybody else here that now does become more beneficial?
It's interesting because Reggie Bullock plays a lot of minutes, but his usage is relatively low, even though he's out on the floor because of his 3-point shooting. He just doesn't get involved a whole heck of a lot. I would think that the guy who has to benefit most for Dallas, I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie is not remotely playable still. We saw him play 23 minutes. Maybe he plays like 28, 27 here in this spot against the Pellies, but he's 5,400 and out of play for our purposes. So I think it's probably him who benefits more, but he's still just completely unplayable.
I'm going to give Jalen Brunson a couple extra minutes, and that makes him from somebody who I was a little bit underweight to the field, and somebody I'm probably going to be a little bit overweight too.
That's fair. I like that. Jake Lindland again, coffee or on DK, and Batum or KCP. DK single entry. I prefer Batum between the two. Obviously different price points there. Oh, I think they are on DK. Let me double check here.
They're about the same.
They're about the same. Yeah.
I also have similar exposure to them. I also have really similar projections on them. Batum's all over the place. The other day, he plays 7 minutes in the first half, puts up no fantasy points, and I liked him that day. The next day, I went back to him, or the next game, went back to him for all the same reasons. With the Clippers short and he did well. There's no real rhyme or reason. It's a really positive matchup against Houston. I like getting to both of them. I'm overweight to each of them.
Let's see. Bam Adebayo on FanDuel. He's 9,500 over there. Jimmy Butler's in. I am not going to be playing a lot of Bam Adebayo, if any. I will let him. He's been playing fantastic. But still, the fantasy output is not what you would need at 9,500 on FanDuel. He's getting around 19%. I would have been very interested in him across the board if you have no Jimmy Butler. That assist rate goes over 20%, even in the presence of Kyle Lowry. But what do you think about Bam Adebayo on this slate on FanDuel, 9,500?
So let's see. I'm rerunning my lineups right now for the Dallas News. If I'm not mistaken, though, I have a little bit of Bam Adebayo over on DK where he's 8,400. Not like a ton, but I have him around 20%. And then FanDuel, I think it was around 10% my last build, if I remember correctly.
Let me get this updated on my end, too. I just thought Bullock would play. I don't know.
Maxi Kleber, somebody else who I think could pick up a couple extra minutes here.
That was the guy I was thinking about, 5,100, but I don't really think on FanDuel for me where I have more volume and I'm doing that here first. And then I'm going to Yahoo here. Some of these hand builds that I'm trying to sort out what needs to happen because there's really nobody on Yahoo here that's going to benefit. Spencer Dinwiddie's $21. He's really not in play for it. Maxi Kleber, I'm not playing at center over there, center only. Josh Green's $10, but I just think that there's better cheap plays available than him. Dennis Schroeder's $10, so he's just a free square on Yahoo.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Yahoo $10 for Dennis Schroeder. That's different. He's my most rostered player today. I'm not locking him in like you did, but still, I'm playing a lot of him.
Finish this up here, and then I will be back to answering all of your questions. Because again, that is what I'm here to do: be helpful and not just dance for dollars. Even though, again, if you guys want to blame anybody, blame the $1 super chats because they're the ones who are making me do what I do here on the show.
It's true that we have people enabling you. Let's see. I'm going to open up the Discord. I have my lineups running and updating right now.
You get it going.
So while they're doing that,
Grayson Allen officially ruled out, but that was expected, so we're fine.
From Cream, Kyle Kuzma or Tobias Harris? That is Kyle Kuzma.
Can we talk about Serge Ibaka as well? Because he's somebody that you said you liked, and I'm getting to around 24% of him on FanDuel. I think he's a great piece to play over there.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to be agreeing with you, agreeing with me. If that's the case, I'd certainly like him.
Carlos Manzo. There it is.
Good for you. Was that another $1 super chat? I'm not looking at that anymore. Trying to make sure I
really would not do it either. I'm getting my lineups in here as well. We've got 4 minutes. Again, we're going to be talking our sponsor, Yahoo. We're going to be reacting to.
So we should really quickly talk about centers because we haven't done it yet.
Let's do it.
I have so much issue projecting Andre Drummond because he's such a good fantasy producer. Mm-hmm. And he is, from a real life perspective, somebody who plays himself off the court all the time. He is the center I have the most exposure to today, and I do not know how to deviate from that.
It's pretty hard. I would say the one reason to maybe deviate from it is he didn't close last game, but in 23 and 24 minutes, he continues to blow slates up even without trying. 6,600. I think I'm more inclined. I think Jonas Valanciunas is just going to see a lot more court time. They're 1.35 compared to 1.2 fantasy points per minute. So it almost comes out in the wash, the 7-minute difference between the two. But I just think there's a little bit more upside. And I think Drummond will still be, Drummond was like 30% on the last slate. I think he's going to project out well for everybody. So I'm more inclined. I'm right now a little bit below 17% on FanDuel on Andre Drummond, and I'm a little bit over 17% on Jonas Valanciunas. Yeah,
I'm rostering a bunch of them and I don't feel great about it. But even trying to give him less minutes, like it's the ceiling is so high and that he's not that popular on this slate. Now, with that said, I didn't think he was going to be all that popular on the last slate. Then he ended up being, like triple owned what we had projected. And then I felt like an idiot for having a bunch of Andre Drummond, but still sub 20% on DK and FanDuel for a guy who's in the 6K range, 6K flat on DK, 6,600 on FanDuel with his kind of upside. It's hard for me to ignore because we might see a game where Andre Drummond plays over 30 minutes, so he's going well, and then he's just going to destroy a slate. So he's my favorite points per dollar center tonight.
Just fine by me. I got to 97% Dennis Schroeder, by the way, on FanDuel. I don't know if that one lineup or two lineups are going to matter in that result, but
good. We'll see. I'm
going to just
getting my final run of FanDuel. I have one updated, but I just wanted to do one more run and see where it comes in. I upped some of the Dallas guys a little bit more just to see if I get to, like Jalen Brunson, Maxi Kleber a little bit more. And I'm getting more Brunson now, actually, with Reggie Bullock out.
Yeah, I'm getting to a little bit more, but not substantially. FanDuel was already a decent play there, sub 20%. I don't know if people are in tune to be able to fire him up more, but Josh Green, not a good fantasy point per minute producer. So I'm okay getting away from that. That's not a piece that we need to be embracing. Dan Jackson, welcome to Awesemo. We appreciate you. I promise you, I'm not on every show, thank God. So you won't always have the guy like dancing for dollars the way that I am. El Negro Loco, my friend. I tried to send $1, but had a freebie on deck. Ow.
Eric, you are a whore.
Crap.
An absolute whore. Look at this. And now his equipment broke. Now people are going to have to send him money so he can get his stuff fixed because Eric, who broke his equipment dancing. He kind of like that photographer at the Rams pep rally the other day.
Feels so bad for her.
Yeah, do you see Stafford's paying for all of her medical bills?
Good.
People take
Maybe
everything on
help her.
What's that?
I said, I know he was like really trashed and whatever else, but like your instinct should be like, oh my God, can somebody help her? Rather than I'm going to go the other direction. So
he's no obligation to do anything. And I also understand too, that he gets involved. He probably runs into an issue of a potential lawsuit. But that aside, I think the right thing to do in that situation,
whoa, James Johnson ruled out.
Oh, well, there we go. Now we have to address that. And that changed a lot, actually.
That is fun to get here. That game locks obviously in half an hour. We're going to have plenty of time to cover that. It's the half-hour portion of Yahoo, but that is a unexpected piece of news, and that is going to have some ramifications in our lineup. So all those questions that he was asking about upgrading off of James Johnson, little did he know that you weren't even going to be able to roster James Johnson. So Greg got the correct answer there for Jake Linlin. Guys, talking some Yahoo, once again, $10. You deposit $10 as a new user. It's the best site you can play on per dollar, period, because it's the lowest rake you'll find, period. 11% management fee on this Thursday Night Baller, 10K to first. So a phenomenal prize up top, under 5,000 entries, $12 to get in, and you can win a 5-figure payout. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot easier than that in terms of knowing which contests are best for your bankroll, regardless of what skill player you are. If you're putting a couple lineups in, if you're making 140, I think multi-entry, Max was 140 on that one today because it's under 5,000, so it can't go to 150. That's how that works. But regardless, check out Yahoo here. $10 or more, you deposit it. You get 1 free month of Awesemo plus Platinum as a kicker. Little side bonus that you get there. It's as easy as it gets. So check it out. We have Edwards starting. Nice that the Nets would just give us this starting lineup so we can address it as we come into the Yahoo portion of the program. But Patty Mills, Seth Curry, Bruce Brown Jr., Edwards back in our lives, and Andre Drummond. What does this do for your lineups, Greg?
Well, I didn't have very much James Johnson, but he was in some of my lineups. And the immediate reaction is I don't actually know because I'm going to have to update this. But I had about 10% James Johnson. Obviously, now that's going to go to 0. But now it's kind of trying to figure out where those minutes go. With Kessler Edwards starting, I figure a lot of them go to him. We could see Drummond play a couple extra minutes now, too. And I mean, I already have a lot. I'm not changing anything with the Drummond. I don't want to play more of him, right? That's not a situation. Like I already have more than my fair allotment of Andre Drummond here. But Kessler Edwards, I hadn't considered Kessler Edwards. So where's his Kessler Edwards at 3,500? Playable. Not my favorite play on the slate or anything, but he'll go from somebody I have 0% of to maybe like 5%.
Yeah, I don't know. It's It's weird because he's already 3,500 on DK. It's going to come down to like, what has been his historical pricing here? He's been pretty darn cheap here. Seth Curry is a lot different than having James Harden or Kyrie Irving on the floor. That's for sure. So I think that there's more opportunity that exists for him there. If you told me he played 29 minutes, he played great against Miami a couple of games ago, but I don't know if that's the norm in terms of his minutes. He has played upwards of the 30-ish minutes there at the end of January. Circumstances have obviously changed a lot for both Philadelphia and them since then, but Kessler Edwards might be a guy I play quite a bit on DK now.
Here's the other issue with the Nets is, so I'm going to get to some exposure to Kessler Edwards, but let's be realistic about what we've seen from the Nets this year. How do they allocate their minutes? It's not going to be one guy. It's going to be, we're going to see David Duke, the Wizard. He's going to play some minutes. Javon Carter probably plays extra minutes off the bench. Blake Griffin plays a couple. So it's just a lot of guys the minutes are going to be spread out to. And I don't think there's any one player where I'm like, oh, this is the guy for me now. It's just more of it's a mess for the Nets, but a mess in a different way.
Alan King said, Greg Ehrenberg is the best on this channel, period.
Well, I can't disagree.
I prefer Jordan Klein on Thursday nights, for previewing the Super Bowl myself. Producer Cam, Jordan Klein, say hi to everybody. You're banging out in your gray tee. Come on, son. Your wife beater. Let's go. It's suns out, guns out there in the old marina. There we are.
I think Jordan gets uncomfortable. See, Jordan didn't wear sleeves for the first, year and a half of show as I do with him, whatever. All of a sudden we get a camera and Jordan starts putting on shirts with sleeves and starts messaging us in our group chat about how he's the best dressed at this company. So
hang on. We need dollar super chats for Jordan to dance in the club tonight. Yes, dollar super chats for Jordan Klein. I'm going to find one here right now. I'm $1 super chatting this up. We need that guy dancing. We need some. Again, that's the good juju that we need here heading into the NBA All-Star break.
Yeah, that's what's going to totally change the slate is whether people see Jordan Klein dancing or not. That's going to change everything.
I've done a super chat. Why am I so technologically stupid sometimes?
Are you trying to
super chat Jordan Klein?
Well, you're just sending money to yourself. Why don't you? What if you bought Jordan a drink?
Oh, I will do that.
You guys live close to each other. You guys hang out. It's you, Jordan, and Wob.
So I was going to say Wob. Good people. Look at that. He's got the beautiful Austin. Hang on. Show the people. So this is the winery that I got engaged at. And if you guys are looking for the best cab, period, bar none, price point, everything else, it is the Austin Hope 2019 cab from Paso Robles. Paso Robles, very underrated wine region compared to Napa, compared to everything else out here in California. But that stuff is phenomenal. There's actually a video of Bill Murray drinking it at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am from this last weekend. Check that out. But that stuff is fire. That was bestowed upon.
You know what Bill Murray's drinking? What are you, TMZ of old celebrities?
Because I'm TMZ. Dynamite. No, that's not funny.
Did you finish updating your lineups, by the way?
I did.
I'm still working on that right now.
I'm done. It's amazing because I'm really good at updating my lineups once late Swaptimizer exists. It's everything before it that becomes difficult for me because it's just late Swaptimizing is just like second nature to me. Everything before it, for whatever reason, is just ridiculous.
Napa Valley I kind of run it.
I didn't say Napa Valley didn't make the best wine. They're phenomenal, but I'm saying that I think it's underrated compared to obviously Napa, which is you're paying for what you get there.
So here's because I'll run my lineups and then I'll be like, oh, I'm getting too much of this guy. I want to change this because it's still, it's still something where I don't because there are less, I kind of feel manual inputs when I'm late Swaptimizing. And then I'm just always like messing around with it and being like, oh, I want to get more of this guy. Or then I run it. It's like, how come all of a sudden I'm not getting to as much Giannis for just totally random reasons when I late Swaptimize, then I just end up rerunning it.
Late Swaptimizing is a lot like making drinks when you're in college where it's like, oh, I should make a little bit more. No, I want a little bit less. Oh, I'll put a little bit more mixer in. Oh, I'll get a little bit like that's late Swaptimizing for me is basically mixology.
Yeah. And then no matter what, you're kind of getting fucked in the end. So it's so just
I say like college.
Yeah.
You know?
So here's somebody else, though, I'm going to throw out to you. I think there's an opportunity for LaMarcus Aldridge to play extended minutes now as well without James Johnson in the mix. And I want to get to more of LaMarcus Aldridge.
He played great yesterday. My God, LaMarcus Aldridge was fire yesterday. He played 22 minutes. He closed out that game. But my big issue with him, again, he's not starting. Andre Drummond is almost locked in to play 24 minutes, at least for this team. I'm hoping he plays 26 tonight because now I'm a little bit over on him. But we'll see what that rostership ends up looking like once we get closer to lock here. Kind of interesting that this has a trickle-down effect because if you can guess which guy it's going to be, or just have that guy land up in a couple more lineups, you're in really good shape. And then on FanDuel, it doesn't make any sense to play Kessler Edwards at 5K. I don't really think I have to even like remotely consider it. But 5,200 LaMarcus Aldridge power forward eligibility. I don't want to play him in the same lineups as Drummond, but I'm with you. I think that there's probably some more upside that exists there now than what there was obviously pre-lock. And, you know, Blake Griffin, 4,700. I don't see him playing more than 15 minutes regardless of circumstance. He played 15 yesterday, and he's just not a guy that they need to be focused on playing some minutes. LaMarcus Aldridge, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. And you got to expect, even with Seth Curry out there, that it's going to go up relative to that rate, considering it was Kyrie Irving and James Harden that were there on the floor next to him for a lot of those. So I'm feeling pretty good about that call on FanDuel.
Yep. So let's see where I end up with Aldridge. Once again, this is another one. I ran my lineups. I got to 9% LaMarcus Aldridge, and now I'm rerunning it because I want more of that in my Swaptimize.
All right. We're going to slam through these super chats, and then I want to talk about Yahoo. Give them the time that they deserve as our sponsor. Anthony Davis, am I the only one dancing with E? Let go. No, you're not.
Yes, you are. I'll tell you who's definitely not dancing with Eric is Jordan behind the scenes.
Jordan has to. We got $5 from P Reg. Jordan Klein dancing means everyone in the chat cashes tonight. Those are the rules. Sorry, Jordan. Jordan, hit that live button, baby. Producer dance cam.
Oh, look at that. Now I've got
Let's
Jordan.
Go. We're
there we go.
Greg
So
dancing by the
how
end
much?
of
How much money do we all win?
$5 automatically. Now 100K. 100K or bust.
All right.
Jake Lindland.
If I win 100K tonight, what does that mean I owe Jordan?
A lap dance.
Oh, good. I was going to go for a lot more. I'll settle for a lap dance, and that is cool with me.
We're here for it. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Yahoo, for allowing us to have this ridiculousness. Jake Lindland, DK, is Drummond that much better value than Zubats? Yes.
Yeah, he is for me, especially now that we have James Johnson out. This doesn't really change, I think, the median expectation for LaMarcus Aldridge, but there's just opportunity for him to play extended minutes now. Like, let's say Andre Drummond gets into foul trouble, not a crazy scenario whatsoever. There was a chance that you could have gotten James Johnson center minutes. Those just have to be Aldridge minutes now.
It's fair. All right, guys. Yahoo. Let's chat about them here a little bit. We got at the guard spot. Number of places that we can go, specifically Luka Doncic on the top end, LaMelo Ball, 42, Drew Holiday, 34, Terry Rozier, 33. That's kind of a fascinating spot to be landing on. Kyle Lowry down at 25 here. I find myself going to the bottom end. I obviously talked about it a little bit earlier, and I kind of said what I was going to do. Dennis Schroeder, free square, $10 over on Yahoo. Play 100% of him and move on with your day. But if you're not going to play him, who would you be looking at the guard spot today, Greg?
Well, so first of all, play 100% Dennis Schroeder on Yahoo. And I know you've been saying that also. You ended up with, I remember you said
I have
you were
100%
going,
now. I have 100%. I just fixed it.
On FanDuel and DK of Dennis Schroeder?
FanDuel and DK, 100%. I have no lineup without Dennis Schroeder, and I don't see that changing unless he gets ruled out. Yeah,
so let me look up what I actually, but either way, for Yahoo purposes, play 100% Dennis Schroeder. Like, I don't see any way around it, considering he's the flat min $10. And while I'm not playing 100% of him today on DK or FanDuel, if he was the min price on FanDuel and DK, then I would be playing Dennis Schroeder. But either way, I have over 80% of Schroeder. I'm very invested in him right now. As for other guys to get to on Yahoo, though, at the guard position, he's going to be a chalk play there as well. But Reggie Jackson, we liked Reggie Jackson a lot on DraftKings. We liked him on FanDuel. No reason to feel any differently here. I don't even think I need to give that much different of analysis. But in case people weren't listening at the top of the show, we covered the guards. There is no more Norman Powell for the Los Angeles Clippers. His time in Los Angeles is very short-lived. I mean, he's going to be there next year also. But at least for this year, he played just a few games from them, breaks his foot out for the majority of the rest of the season.
Legend.
Yeah, absolutely. He played fairly well for them in that limited amount of time. But now we've got Reggie Jackson, who's playing like 40 minutes a game and is carrying a usage rate of close to 30% in the last few games without Norman Powell. He was somebody who, even at elevated price points on FanDuel and DK, I love playing, and hard to feel any different at $23 on Yahoo.
Dope Heathen, member for 2 months. Thanks for the great content. Enjoy the break. We shall. I think I have 2 days basically, because then I'm coming back on Sunday. And it is time to talk some NBA All-Star Game. And you want to talk edge, there is an edge to be had in this contest, just like the Pro Bowl, which we had both winners, I believe. Well, I mean, I know Humbro over on DK, checking out Nolan Kelly's article, checking out our show, as well as over on FanDuel, the winner of that, all from the analysis based on that, because there is such a massive edge if you know what you're looking for. And Rinpack and I are going to break that down. Hopefully, if the salaries come out tonight, we'll be breaking that down. Otherwise, I will see you all Sunday morning with Loughy for the strategy show, as well as live before lock. Looking forward to making some money, having some fun. We'll be chatting it up. Hopefully, one of you guys will be taking that down. Hopefully me, but you know, I'll be okay if it's a sub too. I'm just fine with that. Appreciate you guys. Let's keep it rocking to the forward spot over on Yahoo. We talk as much as we need to on a 5-game slate. You have a freebies, 2 freebies. I feel like they're shooting guard. You could go Seth Curry's under $20 there. Pretty easy to build a phenomenal lineup over on Yahoo today, and appreciate that because it can be tough sledding sometimes with the expensive guys. And hey, the most expensive player that exists on the slate, Giannis Antetokounmpo, $56. But if I'm going to be paying down a guard, like I've been saying constantly here, I'm still going to play Giannis at $56 over on Yahoo. Greg, does that sound like a good plan to you?
I have no issue with it whatsoever. And also because of the salary structure on Yahoo, it's easier to fit in 2 of the stars here than it is on, certainly than it is on DK, but even on FanDuel as well, because we have Dennis Schroeder, the flat min, at $10. Marcus Morris is sub $20. Seth Curry, you mentioned him, he's sub $20. It is not difficult to get lineups with both Luka and Giannis in. So I don't even know that we really have to choose all that much. Once again, I do prefer Luka and Giannis to Joel Embiid. Once again, Joel Embiid center eligible over on Yahoo. There's a lot of good. Yeah, what?
Jackson Hayes is starting. Just noticed that. McCollum, Jones, Ingram, Hayes, Valanciunas. Drop what you're doing and roster as much Jackson Hayes at 4,600 on DraftKings as you humanly possibly can.
Yep. Drop everything you're doing, like Eric's going to drop his pants right after the show ends. So Jackson Hayes Jackson Hayes has he's done well as a starter in recent games, and it's been a weird situation. New Orleans, like the fit next to Valanciunas is for sure wonky. But with that said, he started against Houston. The 2 of them started together, played 36 minutes, 33 minutes, 26, 31. It looks like as long as he avoids fouls, he's probably going to play around 30 minutes.
Fouls. And I just had to do that.
Fouls.
Funny.
Fouls.
He's 4,400 on FanDuel. I'm playing. What a weird day. It's so beautiful. It's like Jackson Hayes was not. If I had made 1,000 lineups, I probably wouldn't have landed on any Jackson Hayes today. And now he might be my most rostered player.
So before, I don't know if you remember this, somebody asked us who our favorite player, our favorite contrarian plays were. And I said I was in between saying Ibaka and Jackson Hayes. There were 2 guys I was overweight to the field on. Now, I don't think Jackson Hayes is going to be contrarian, but I did have exposure to Hayes. Now I'm going to get way more of him, though.
I'm going to play 100% of FanDuel. I'm just going to play 100%.
How many you're playing? Like, are you the
Dennis
way you talk
100%.
about it? It's like
Jackson
Eric's playing 150 lineups with 100% of everybody. He's just running one train.
This is going to be interesting because I'm going to take the lock button off of Schroeder here, and I'm going to see what happens because I have a feeling that when you get a 4,400 of him and 4,300 Schroeder, I'm going to get more room for Luka Doncic, Giannis, and Embiid, and I want to kind of know which one shows up. I have a feeling Giannis is the guy who just takes a massive jump for me positionally. I find it crazy to believe that I'm not going to get to a massive number of him, as well as Embiid. I think that this really opens up. I was going to be shorter on Embiid on FanDuel. I find it hard to believe that I'm not going to be over 33.7% because things have to change in your lineups when you get another piece of great value that's sub 4,500 on FanDuel. You put him together with Schroeder. It's impossible that I won't be over on every one of these studs probably.
Let's see. So how many minutes do you think Jackson Hayes plays? I don't actually want to give him 30. I'm not going to lock it.
I'm going to play 28 and see what happens, and I'm going to probably still get 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to play Jackson Hayes, but I have him for 26 fantasy points right now.
He's been playing so good in his starts, and then all of a sudden they just didn't start him. Here's the thing: 36, 33, 26, 31. If you just average those together, you're looking around 31 minutes. I'm going to project him for 28 and a half, and I get him for...
Oh, by the way, we should mention also, he is starting in place of Devontae Graham. You shouldn't have been playing Devontae Graham before, but now you definitely shouldn't be playing him.
Yeah, it's like foregone conclusion. They realized, our team's a lot better with having Herbert Jones's defense, Jackson Hayes' rim presence, kind of this Twin Towers aspect that's worked a little bit. I mean, Jackson Hayes can be a 4, he just doesn't shoot. It's fascinating. But here we go. I'm getting to a crazy amount of him as I'm updating everything.
On DK and FanDuel?
Super chats. All right. Tyler Bradley. Yeah. FanDuel, especially 4,400 FanDuel. I talked about the value where I just did not feel comfortable rostering a chalky Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I did not feel good rostering, I mean, obviously Kyle Kuzma, 7,700 is still going to show up a ton, but Giannis, you got 4 small forward power spots at the forward positions there. So 4 guys going to make up a lot of it there. And now Giannis and Kuzma are going to be in more lineups probably than what they were before. They're on the more expensive end because as opposed to Marcus Morris, Jayshawn Tate, 5,200, Marcus Morris, 6,100, Bobby Portis, 6,300. I'm getting a guy who's 2K cheaper than them. That's helping me get to more of the studs.
Let's see. How many minutes did we project him for?
Let's see. I mean, I put him for 28 and a half just to be lighter on him than the 31 that he's been averaging in his last 4 starts.
Yeah. Let's see. So Jackson Hayes, we have him for 30 minutes and we'll just give out, here's why you guys should be sticking around afterwards. Here's what we have right now. Jackson Hayes for 30 minutes and 26 fantasy points.
He's showing up in just about everything I do. I like him. Hartenstein is like a forgotten man now for me, by the way. Everything that was on him is basically turning into Hayes. I'm going to be around the field now as opposed to double on Hartenstein. KJ Martin, forgotten guy as well. He's taken a drastic drop. A lot of them are just being turned into Hayes. It's pretty easy to do that now.
I think 100% Jackson Hayes is very aggressive.
I'm doing that. I put in 31 minutes and I got 100%. So I'm not putting in 31 minutes. I'm trying to get it a little bit more specific. We have him 23 and a half. Is that updated for new minutes projection yet? That can't.
No. I said we have him for 30.
Okay. 30 is the number we landed on. Then I'm going to get him in north of 65% of stuff still.
Yeah. I have him for right around, I mean, we have him projected for right around 26 fantasy points. I was right around that number. He's a good play. I think 100% of him is aggressive, though. Agreed. But I put him in for 33, 32 right off the bat there, and it got a little bit weird. I don't want to play 100%. But once again, this is just a phenomenal piece of value that came out after lock. The game locks, unfortunately, in 39 minutes. So I think there's enough people paying attention with just one game active and one game happening now in 9 minutes. I think enough people will be able to get to Hayes that he's not going to be like remotely... He'll be 25% probably on FanDuel still. I mean, if he's 25%, that's not somebody I'm like dying to play. Like if I'm playing a lot of Jackson Hayes because I think he's going to be really contrarian. I don't want to play.
I'm okay playing him regardless in that situation. He's just a phenomenal piece of value. I mean, his starts, he's looked really good alongside Jonas Valanciunas even. Like he's still been pretty there. And again, for him to be on the floor and have the opportunity to put up more stocks. I mean, I'm going to get, so here you go. I have 56% of Jackson Hayes in my lineups on FanDuel. Do you think that that's appropriate for a guy that if he's going to be 20%, that you would want to get more, like almost 3x the field on?
So I have him in about 30% of my lineups right now. So
that's fair.
That is, to me, if you say, what do you think is a fair number? I'm going to say that's the number I came up with. Therefore, that's what I'm comfortable with. But 50% to me is still a lot because there's still other forwards. The other thing, too, is he only has power forward eligibility. We can't play him at another position. That is, somewhat restrictive. I still want to play Kyle Kuzma. I still want to play Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bobby Portis, Marcus Morris, Montrezl Harrell is another contrarian power forward play I like. So I like Jackson Hayes, but probably not quite as much as you. He's in about a third of my lineups. Okay. I still expect that's going to be overweight to him though.
I just always like when this news comes out a little bit later and you feel like people aren't going to get there. People got to Şengün to a surprising amount yesterday. I mean, I got to almost 100% and that was fun. Starting at the 5, no Christian Wood, no KPGA. Ryan's just been beating the drum for him constantly. Rinpack, NBA Slate Starter Podcast. Come give us a listen. Leave us a 5-star review over on the podcast. We really appreciate that because I have a blast. I get to talk with one of the best players in the world. I've been able to do it for 7 years, knowing this kid when he was a little Padawan learner, if you will, for all you Star Wars people. He is now the Master Jedi, and I'm the apprentice. But I'm looking at what Ryan's been saying about Şengün, and it's phenomenal. I don't think you can play Şengün today. Jackson Hayes, 66.7%. I mean, I'm going to play him that much. That's just fine by me.
Yeah, I want to see. I do want to see where our updated ownership projections land on him.
Yeah, I'm going to be very aware of that as we get closer to that lock of that game, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Let's round out the center position over on Yahoo. Well, I guess we talked about Giannis there. Forward, Jackson Hayes.
By the way, really strong start for Kyle Lowry.
Oh, very nice.
Very
Power
strong.
forward only on he's $10 as well. Play Dennis Schroeder, play Jackson Hayes, and then play 2 studs. Welcome to Yahoo today.
Yeah, so Jackson, now we have to look at Jackson Hayes' price over there. You said $10?
$10.
Yep, min price, totally different. So even on FanDuel and DK, where we've both agreed that he's a really good piece of value, the difference is I'm overweight to him, presumably overweight to him. Eric is way, way overweight to Jackson Hayes. Once again, I don't mind the stand that he's taken, and it looks like we might have an ownership update here. No, we still have Jackson Hayes at 2% on DK and 7% on FanDuel. So either way, we both like him a whole bunch. Min price on Yahoo, no brainer though. Play all of the Jackson Hayes.
No brainer. Fire him up in bulk, guys. Center position over on Yahoo. 6 minutes left to go. Everybody, get your lineups.
We missed a bunch of super chats.
I'm going to get them all right here. We have a 99-cent from Squeak Diesel. That's all you get for 99 cents. I need that cent. Come on now. Tyler Bradley, Brunson, or Seth Curry FanDuel?
That is Brunson for me now. So I gave Brunson a couple extra minutes when we saw who was it? Reggie Bullock. When Reggie Bullock got rolled out, I gave Brunson a couple extra minutes, and that really did up the amount of exposure I have to him. So Brunson.
Yeah, I'm going to buy. Please don't burn me today. 5 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound here, 9,500. All right. I'll be okay with that here. Rounding it out, center position, Joel Embiid, $54. Let's do this question now, because now the studs might have changed a little bit. We now have a great piece of value at point guard. We have a great piece of value at power forward over here on Yahoo. Rank the 3 studs because you have strict positionality there. Giannis, he would be a power forward, same position as Jackson Hayes. You can obviously play more than one. Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, all within $1 of each other on Yahoo. Rank those for me.
By the way, we got more super chats also. We should answer.
I didn't see any other super. Yeah. Oh, we got 2 that just came.
I know, but either way, we've got 3 minutes left in the show. We should answer them.
Go ahead. I'm just we're giving
Corey
you
Bomber
time.
Reggie, Kuzma, Hayes, Drummond, Luka, Tate, Pope, Zubats. That is Reggie, Kuzma, Hayes, and Drummond for me.
Correct. Brian Underwood, Portis or Hayes, FanDuel GPP. Give me all the Hayes.
That's a really big price gap between them.
2K difference.
I still have Portis projected for more fantasy. It's 6,300 Portis versus a 44. That's still Bobby Portis for me. If you have somewhere else you could spend the money that you really like, go for it. But just in terms of fantasy points, still Portis.
I ended up on 76% Jackson Hayes. I think that's probably going to be where it stays. So 20% more than I just had. Just running some stuff, trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. Sounds like fun. Jackson Hayes, one-time dealer, one time. Center here on Yahoo, Drummond, $30. Pretty priced up compared to the other sites. $30, I would be much more inclined to get up to Joel Embiid, $54 at this position. But you do have Zubats down there at $17. I think that's a pretty intriguing number. Maxi Kleva, $16. I didn't really want to take that shot. And Thomas Bryant, Washington, we got word that we're going to get Rui Hachimura limited a little bit, but they've really shown a inclination to hold Thomas Bryant right around that 24-minute number. 24 was actually a season high in minutes here for him last time out. Is there anybody on the cheap end of center you might round out for Yahoo for your lineups?
Let's see. So cheap centers, I guess Zubat $17. I'd still count that as cheap. Harold, that game's already locked, but I do have exposure to him tonight. But I think Zubats is the obvious one at $17.
All right. CJ McCollum, what do I think about him now? Does CJ McCollum take a jump up for you when you take Devontae Graham off the floor?
I wouldn't think so. I don't think Devontae Graham makes that big of a difference.
You don't really have a sample size either. That's the other thing.
Yeah, there's nothing I could really make of that information. I have 7% McCollum on DK. On FanDuel, I ended up with 9%.
All righty, guys.
There's a lot of guards to roster.
Terry McBride, 83.3% Jacks. What could go wrong? Nothing, Terry. We're fine. Everything's going to be great here. It's going to be really, really enjoyable. 2 minutes to go. Make sure you get your lineups updated.
Oh,
because you
ownership update.
Roster spots. What do we have for Hayes? It's going to scare me, isn't it?
Jackson Hayes. I think these are the exact same numbers. Oh no. So he's 15% on FanDuel, 8% on DK.
Give me way more than that.
Yeah. Same. I'm well over the field on him.
All right. Love it. Greg, another successful week of live before locks. Again, I missed you yesterday. But I love Terry McBride. It was so much fun. There's no doubt about it. Jordan Klein, I love you so much. I missed you too. You weren't here yesterday, but you know what? This is the band. I'm kind of like, who's the guy from Nirvana? He's just like, he's got his crew. No, the guy the guy who then became the Foo Fighters. And then he's got
Dave
Stone
Grohl.
Age. And he's got them Crooked Vultures. Dave Grohl, thank you. Crooked Vultures. If you've never checked them out, that is a fire album, no doubt about it. But Greg, you're my Dave Grohl. I need you. You're my compass. And this is the band. This is the Foo Fighters. And I feel comfortable here. Any final words for the people?
Yeah, let's go sledding, but let's drop the sled in the snow.
All right, let's make Jordan the sled. Say hi to everybody. Give them a wave on the way out and give them because this is our weekend, baby. We're coming back on Sunday, though. Look at that guy. So hot and sexy. It's beautiful. Ready to rock for the NBA All-Star Game. Check out all of our great content. Thank you again to Yahoo. I'm sure they're going to have some contest posted for the All-Star Game, too. We'll be talking through all of that for you. Check out all of their great stuff, content as well. $10 gets you 1 free month of Awesemo plus Platinum. But we are going to get out of here. Best of luck tonight. Go Jackson Hayes. He's Greg Ehrenberg. He's really funny. I'm Eric Lindquist. I'm really silly, and I apologize. We'll see you guys later.